So if the elections are phony, then why do they give a shit about the act?
Because the illusion matters.
Why does it matter?
Because think about if truly tomorrow they came out and said, your vote doesn't mean anything. We've been running the elections since the beginning of time. We kill people in broad daylight. Yeah, we did JFK. We did Charlie and we're going to keep doing whatever the hell we want. So F you. You
think something would actually happen?
Yeah. Because it's actually something Charlie said to me when we were traveling once. He said, one of his little pop quizzes, what is one thing that every civilization that has ever had slavery since the beginning of human history, what is one thing that every single one of those civilizations has in common?
I don't know.
I didn't know either. And he said, there were always more slaves than masters. And that always stuck with me. The few are able to get all of us to behave. So what they fear is a real revolution. That's why they always stoke the flames of internal unrest, because if all of us were in lockstep and we were like, let's go kill these pedophiles, let's go take care of business, that's the biggest threat to the system. A revolution that they don't control. So instead they create revolutions over stupidity. Mm-hmm. Trans bathroom rights. Keep them focused and arguing about stuff that doesn't matter at all. BLM, racial strife, Why isn't there a George Floyd Square? This is fodder for idiots. While they buy islands, they take up land, they destroy heritage, they rewrite history. 20 years from now, they'll say, you already heard, I think, Jerry Seinfeld say, Palestine doesn't exist. Well, he's a man of the future. They'll rewrite history. They'll say they were the victims. It all started on October 7th. And they'll wipe away entire identities. I mean, good for the people in Albania who are standing up to the Israeli settlers right now. Don't know what their plan is there, but something's going on. And that's their biggest threat. So they have to get you to believe in the illusion of elections because you have to think you can change it and that your voice matters.
It's the Homeless Left with Matt Weinglass and co-host Jay Scott, featuring Garland Nixon.
Episode 201, Collateral Damage.
With special guest, CHILLE DeCASTRO. And a real fake news update. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
All right, I think we're going. We're good to go, guys. Welcome to the Homeless Left. I'm Matt Weinglass, your host today for our non-tribal approach to news show. We're going to be here with you guys all afternoon. We have a lot going on we're going to be getting into, but just welcoming everybody to the channel, our regular viewers. We love you guys over on Rumble, on YouTube. We're getting we're fighting this algorithm. We've been fighting it for a long time, the ups and downs, but you guys keep us moving. You guys keep us going because you know what this is about. We're here in this space with our critical thinking abilities that they don't want us to be using, right? So once we understand that, it's a constant uphill battle. So we have to bring it every time. We have to be ready to fight. There's no easy coasting. We don't coast here. We keep pushing and we push some more and we keep each other in check as we do that. And we welcome all sorts of ideologies and backgrounds and wherever you come from. You don't have to check a box to get into our space because this is not a tribe. It's not a club. This isn't check, get in the door. You left something off the list. Get the hell out. That's not how it works here. Other than treating each other with respect and basic, humanitarian values, whatever those basic principles are, we don't care about disagreeing. In fact, We look forward to disagreement. We look forward to discourse. These are the type of skills and skill sets that we can elevate our own ability to critically think when we listen to other points of views. That's the whole idea. They had us unlearn that. That was by design, telling us that words are violence, telling us to stay far away from the people that didn't vote the way you voted because they're going to hurt you, because we are very, very fragile glass houses that can shatter at any moment that you hear an idea that doesn't fit the thing that you were told was the thing. And we will all self-destruct because it's a very weak attribute. And I get it. It's easy to fall for that if you're in a camp. You're in the tribal mentality, right? The tribal mentality means you check in with your team leaders. You're checking boxes constantly. They tell you what to be joyful about, what to be furious about, what to be afraid of before you feel the feelings yourself. And I know it gets confusing because you think, oh, I woke up one day. If you're in that Kamala camp, all of a sudden you felt joy. Where did that joy come from? Did you manifest it on your own, or was it told to you, dictated to you, as so many times before that, whether it was Feel the Burn or whether it was Hope and Change? And this is not exclusive to the left. You guys on the right, you're doing the same thing. If you're still hero worshiping this guy and checking in with him to see what the general mood is supposed to be, what the thing you're supposed to be angry at. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Get angry at your neighbor. Get angry at, what is the thing now? Get angry at the radical lefty communists pushing Islam. Is that the thing? Jew hating? They're gonna go street by street and they're gonna knock on the doors and they're gonna get you. This is the thing that's told to you. You don't have to listen. You don't have to abide by it. You can use your own abilities, your own critical thinking skills, and look at what's really happening and make your own determination. And then we can have honest discussions, honest discourse, honest debate. And what is the goal of those conversations, of those debates? Is the goal to win and the other side to lose? No, that's another one they fooled us about. They fooled us. This isn't team sports. We don't win and they don't lose. That's not an outcome we're going for. What we are going for is understanding. New concept. Debate to achieve understanding. Wow. Wow, what a concept. What a concept indeed. Let's try and hold on to these ideas as we move forward today. We're going to be getting into it. We're going to be getting into it a lot. We're calling this episode Collateral Damage. It's a reference to, if you guys saw the thumbnail, it's a reference to this Lindsey Graham incident that looks like another one of these. What are they not telling us? We're going to look into that. But the collateral damage is a theory associated with Lindsey Graham. We'll talk about that. But it's also something we're seeing that maybe we ourselves have been collateral damage of something much worse, much bigger. And we need to understand that chessboard that we find ourselves on, not by choice. We didn't choose to be on this chessboard of being used as pawns, but understand what the collateral damage could mean on a larger level as well. So that's going to be the theme running today. We will be joined by co-host Jay Scott a little later in the show. Also, we have a multi-stream setup with Garland Nixon later down the line. We're going to be exclusively on Rumble for that and on his channel, The Garland Nixon Show. And we have a lot to talk about with him. You guys know we make regular appearances with Garland, but we're doing it kind of a back-to-back multi-stream once he comes up. That's a little later in the show. Our guest today is first time on the show. We're looking forward to this discussion. This is CHILLE DeCASTRO. He is a very hard-nosed patriot that would say exactly what we say on this show, completely detached from any party. He's here to hold the police responsible and how they keep us all enslaved in a way. This is not a left and right issue. So we're looking forward to discussing with him and his company, Delete LAWZ, which is there for people who have to basically in need of tools to help fight any wrongful arrest or wrongful incident regarding police. Now is a really good time to be educated on that. So this is going to be a great discussion. Other stuff today, obviously the Israel and U.S. military merger. That's a huge story. I know some people have been brushing that one aside a little bit, like, wow, what's the difference? They've been doing that anyways. We've been merged anyways. Well, no, this is certainly something's a little different about it this time. So we're going to look at that as well. Some flock discussion. And what else? We got so much happening with, we got the Khanna situation. We're going to get to that one. What else? There's a bunch of stuff, guys. There's a lot. You might want to just look at the breakdown of the show. There's a bunch of other stuff happening, but let's go ahead and just make sure everything is running okay. I was having a little issue with StreamYard up top. So the picture kept going out. I think the picture's fine now. Yes, it looks like we are running fine on our platforms. We are good on Rumble. And you guys, if you haven't been on Rumble, you've only been on YouTube. It might be a good time today. Maybe not this second, but at some point today, just check out the Homeless Left. Because like I said, we're going to be exclusively multi-streaming with Garland Nixon later in the show. So we'll tell you guys how to cross over if you're on YouTube. But YouTube, guys, this channel, I'm shocked that it still exists. We were told we don't have a right to exist. Israel has a right to exist, but we don't. No, we don't. Actually, Google said the Homeless Left is too dangerous for YouTube. That's what they told us. They literally said our conversations were not keeping the community safe, so we needed to stop the discussions. So the channel's gone. The Homeless Left, the Homeless Left is gone. If you try to type that in. So this is the channel now. THL presents. Of course, we're going to keep doing it. Even if they tell us not to, we'll just find another way because we never run out of names, guys. So let's make sure this one gets the attention it needs. I know we're on X too. It seems like we had a lot more surging going on the Matt Weinglass X. So check that one out as well. We're trying stuff out on Twitch. That's just for fun. That's on the side. I also think we're on Facebook right now, but we haven't really put much attention on that. But it doesn't matter. However you find us, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us. Wherever you are homeless from. We happen to be homeless from the left. You might be homeless from the right, from the up, from the down, from the upside down, all around. It doesn't matter. Let's all be homeless together. I think we're ready to go now, guys. So let's start off with a little real fake news update. Here we go. It's a real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. If you guys didn't hear about Khanna's recent trip to the West Bank, oh boy, people have been having a problem with this. They've been having a problem with this. These are some of the headlines we saw coming up with his incident, which was, we're going to get into the incident itself, as he was actually stopped, harassed, some would say even assaulted by IDF soldiers. We're not shocked about it, but this is the type of reaction you're going to get from some of these outlets directly from Israel. Of course, Khanna's dishonest Israel stunt. What is dishonest about it? Well, the California lawmaker turned a brief West Bank confrontation into a national controversy and revealed how Israel has become a stage for the Democratic Party's next political fight. Well, it's not. Just to be clear, Khanna is in a very small minority in the Democratic Party. This is not a party maneuver. Most of the party is ignoring this. Of course, we've seen some people, some more progressive people get into office more recently, so that the needle might be moving very, very gradually. But we know, and you know, that this is just blatantly false. There's no agenda for the Democratic Party to go anti-Israel in any way, shape, or form. So Khanna can get away with only so much. But let's hear what he had to say from his vantage point before the mainstream got involved and really try to shake him down. So here's his initial reaction to what happened to him.
For a military that is detaining me and that is siding with foreign settlers brandishing guns against me, against Americans. It's been probably the most emotionally powerful trip of my life. I was telling someone I've never felt more powerless. I saw firsthand the hoodlums that some of the settlers are. They surrounded our bus, brandishing M4s made in America. They were laughing as they did this. And the other thing I saw firsthand is the IDF, instead of protecting American citizens, took their side. The IDF, in Area C at least, is on the side of the settlers who are violent. They're not on the side of justice. And this happened to me personally, where we were detained for 90 minutes, where people were fearful for our safety. And I thought to myself, if they can do this to an American congressman, what can they do to Palestinians?
When you're passing these checkpoints, you're passing 18, 19-year-olds who are holding weapons that are paid by American tax dollars. Did this trip kind of help you see that there is a presence, that people here do feel occupied by both America and Israel?
May I say I do? I saw it firsthand. I mean, I voted initially before October 7th for aid to Israel in the United States Congress. Right. And they're taking the money that I voted for, literally voted for in the floor of Congress, to support an IDF that is detaining me here.
You paid for your own detainment.
I'm paying for a military that is detaining me, yeah, and that is siding with foreign settlers brandishing guns against me, against Americans. How dare they? Who the hell do they think they are?
Okay, so let's stop there. This is obviously a real story. Anybody that's challenging this story is just that these are people that are not, they're hopeless. You can't reason with them if they're going to say that the IDF doesn't actually do this type of thing. But we're going to go a little further with this one, because the real issue here is he's able to say this and tell this story that he only now in 2026 only now discovered that the money he's allowed, that he's voted for, the money that's gone into the pockets of these psychopaths that have committed just the most heinous crimes imaginable in our entire lifetimes. I mean, it's not even close. And so he's acknowledging it was his money, but he just now figured it out. And there's also this thing I want you guys to keep in mind, that understand that, yes, this is a legit story, but his interpretation of the story is also a little weak, because he's talking about special privilege. He's saying that because I gave money, because I am a sitting congressman, because it gives it, how dare they? It sounds like a VIP at a club, right? It says, how dare you make me wait in line with all the other peasants? You're charging me a cover at this? Do you know who I am? So it has a vibe like that. And we know what that's like here in Hollywood. We know what the whole red carpet, who's on the list. So Rokan is on the list, and he's furious because they don't give a shit who's on the list. And that's really the thing about it. Is he going to go further and say what needs to be said? I haven't heard him yet. I haven't heard him say the thing, which is, can you imagine what they're doing to everybody else? Actually, we don't have to imagine. We see it on our phones every single freaking day. So this is privilege, right? But he's not being treated the VIP that he deserves. We all deserve to be treated decently if we're going through the West Bank for whatever reason. If we're doing a story that, if we're doing, if anybody, what the hell is the problem? So that's what there is, a privilege thing here. But let's get to the part of the smear campaign, which NBC is very good at, because all they got to do is bring Netanyahu on to tell us what law-abiding citizens and how Israel is they're just people of the law, right? I mean, that's when you think of Israel, you think of IDF, you think of law-abiding members of an incredible democracy and our best friends on the planet of all time.
The opportunity, if you would like to respond to Congressman Khanna, he is going to be on this broadcast. He says he visited the West Bank. He was blocked by settlers.
We wanted to talk to you first to get the real story, and then we'll check in with Khanna. But go ahead. You get first dibs at it.
Building guns. He says the IDF did not help defuse this situation. Do you have any comment on that this morning, Mr. Prime Minister?
Yeah, we're a country of laws, and people who break the law, we take them to court.
Oh, people who break the law, you take them to court. Can you give us an example of any time IDF members have broken the law, that would make a good case. I would say that would be a way, if you really wanted to come and sell this, we hold people accountable every time we investigate ourselves. Give us an example. Oh, you can't, right? You can't give us an example of your own people breaking laws because you don't consider it breaking laws. In fact, it's the opposite. There's a fight for them to be allowed to break laws, to be allowed to rape hostages. If they're not allowed to, there's pushback. So you're not you're making a case that Israel follows laws, and you can't even, it might have crossed your mind, but you can't actually tell us one. So you're going to instead, you're going to give an example of how you punish terrorists. Because IDF, not only do you hold people accountable, IDF never does anything wrong. They are the most, as RFK Jr. says, they are the most moral army on the freaking planet. They have a 0% track record of anything illegal. And that's why he can't give an example. But go ahead, tell us about the terrorists.
In the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, we've had thousands of attempted attacks and warnings against terrorist activities, against innocent Israelis, families, mother with their children driving along the road. They're stopped by terrorists and they kill them. And this has happened again and again and again. There is a vigilante effort, not by the settler community. They're 99.9%, law-abiding citizens. They work, they serve in the army, and so on. There are 150 juvenile delinquents that are not part of that community. They come from the other parts of Israel. I don't want vigilantes of any kind, and we are working to put them under the law. But I think if we put things in perspective, we should see that we have thousands of attacks and some few, but obvious breaking of the law. Then we apply the full measure of the law against them. Israel, unlike our neighbors, is a democracy and a country of law, and we act against those who break the law.
The IDF is lying. What happened was unprecedented. They had violent settlers detain American citizens, including an American government official. You had these settlers brandishing M4s, kicking the tires of our van, laughing at us, mocking at us, videotaping us. We were detained for about 20 minutes, fearful of our lives. Then the IDF comes, 4 soldiers. They tell our translator that they're on the side of the settlers. They further detain us and block us in. We had to call the American embassy. Fortunately, David Brownstein helped, and he got to someone in Israel. And 75 minutes after the detention by the IDF soldiers and by these settlers, we were let through. Now, I heard the prime minister, and he says that Israel is a country of law and order. Well, let me be very specific. The prime minister needs to open an investigation on these violent settlers who are connected to Yanon Levy, who has destroyed Zanuta's village and is a known person who has killed Palestinians, and these settlers were connected to him. They need to be prosecuted, including Yanon Levy. Their outpost needs to be investigated, and he needs to have an investigation on these 4 IDF officers. Security cameras can see that they were involved in the detention of American citizens.
Okay, so he's saying all the right things here on this big show that everybody watches because, Meet the Press, NBC, that's the go-to to get your news. And that's good. He's hitting the talking points. And, the idea that there's these people not affiliated, and, I was like, not anything to do with us. They're just, I don't know who they are. No, it's very clearly attached to the IDF, clearly attached to this military entity that we are paying for, that he says he's paying for. So that's been worked out. But this is Fox News trying to double down that Ro Khanna is making this entire thing up, which is insane. Why would you have to make something like this up when there's plenty? It's absolutely nut job to think that this would be a story that you would make up when there's a slew of stories, one after the next, and this one you're just going to make this one up. Okay. But let's hear them try and sideswipe him on this interview.
Here's the American ambassador in the United States. Take a quick listen. I want to get your response.
In terms of Ro Khanna, we reached out to him when we heard he was going to Israel. the Israeli embassy here in Washington. We suggested he visit with survivors of the October 7th massacre, that he visit the borders so he understands the issues that we have on our borders. He ignored that, and he decided to coordinate his trip not with Israel, but with Palestinian activists and with J Street, which is a anti-government, anti-Israeli government advocacy group here in Washington.
Sir, why did you not coordinate with Israel on this, knowing they're staunch allies of the United States, knowing the recent history of the October 7th massacre? And most importantly, why did you decline to meet with Jewish survivors of the Hamas terror attacks on October 7th?
The ambassador is lying. We did inform.
Sir, at a certain point, if everybody is lying, sir, you have now said the ambassador is lying, the IDF is lying, the U.S. Embassy is lying. At a certain point,
the U.S. Embassy I praised. I praise the U.S. Embassy. The ambassador is blatantly lying. And the reality is that we coordinated with Israel. How did I get through and back? I have been to Israel 3 times before. I met with Prime Minister Netanyahu before. I met with Prime Minister Bennett. If you ask John and Rachel Poland, who lost their son, Hirsch, tragically, I was fighting for Hirsch's release as a hostage. I met with them many times. But I told the Israeli government that I wanted to go on a Palestinian-led trip to the West Bank because I had been to 3 trips to Israel. I had gotten Israel's perspective, and that this trip I was going to go to the West Bank for a Palestinian-led look for 3 days. They knew that. And the point is that just because an American politician wants to get the side of Palestinians, that does not give Israel the right to have violent settlers detain Americans with a passport, that gives Israel the right to have IDF detain us. It's not just me. I mean, Tucker Carlson and others have said that this is outrageous, that this is happening to an American citizen. I've traveled to China. I've traveled to Saudi Arabia. I've traveled all over the world. Never has this happened to American passport holders. And you may disagree with me on my ideology, but as Americans, we should make it clear. No country
I
should
don't
be able to
disagree with you
disrespect
on your
Americans that way.
ideology, sir. I have no skin in this game. It's a question of following the facts here. It's a question of listening.
Yeah, you're not following the facts. That's it. You're not. You're taking. So this is, and she's going to tell us what journalism is for her working at Fox. This is the job. She's telling us the job is listen to facts. Which facts?
To official statements from the government there.
Oh, yes. Listen to facts from official statements from governments there, wherever there is. Is it just Israel, or is it any government that feeds you facts? That's what you listen to. That's your job. Okay. Well, thanks for letting us know. I think that's been your job the whole time.
Also, the reality of going into what was a restricted area without any prior coordination. That
is just false. We gave Israel a heads up, and Haaretz, the Israeli paper, said that the Israeli government is wrong. The oldest paper. And all I want people to do is watch the videos. They came out today.
We have, sir. We have, and we've been playing them all throughout the segment too, so that our viewers can see.
There's a new video that came out. There's a body cam video for 1 minute and 30 seconds by an Israeli citizen, Nadav Wyman, who came out, who shows that the IDF...
we will take a look at that too, sir. We will take a look at that. But thank you for taking time with us this morning.
Thank you. And every American should be outraged with what happened.
And they should also be outraged at the way you conduct yourself as a quote-unquote journalist, because you don't even watch the stuff before you have your guest on, and then you shrug it off when he says, have you seen this new thing? This is I can't even imagine. Can you imagine like we would behave this way? Like you'd have a guest saying, hey, did you see the new thing? Yeah, we'll watch it. Thanks for coming on. Bye. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do that another time. We're not going to take a look. But there you go. And I just want to be clear here. He had a real experience. Is he presenting it the best he knows how? Maybe. But there's an entitlement. There's a VIP element to it. And I just think, at the end of the day, this guy, like, he has to do some serious soul searching, because it took him to 2026 to realize that his money was going to these atrocities. I wonder how long it's going to take him to realize that his money going to Ukraine has also contributed to atrocities and the deaths of many, many people that could have been avoided if you voted no on that shit too. That's the point. So hopefully one day Ro Khanna will wake up and figure that part out. But it's, baby steps. But again, he's got to still fight this crazy fight with the mainstream media because they don't do their jobs as journalists. This is why we have to do the job here to bring you guys the real fake news, not brought to you by Pfizer. Okay, we're going to get into this next story. It's there's a lot to this one. So let's go ahead and start it now. We're going to do the first half now, and then when we bring in Jay Scott later, we're going to do more of it. It's the cover story. We're going to get to the Lindsey Graham story here. So let's start from the beginning. Okay. All right. So you guys probably heard, obviously by now, here's the official statement that was posted Saturday night involving Lindsey Graham. From the office of U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, they released a statement on the evening of Saturday, July 11th. Lindsey Graham passed away from a brief and sudden illness. Graham's family appreciates prayer at this time and asks for privacy during this incredible, difficult period. Okay. Of course, we had some fun with this. Shadow of Ezra, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham is dead after a sudden illness. He will be remembered as one of the worst humans in history. I think most people can agree on that. I mean, yeah. Now, how you go about acknowledging that or not, or pretending that we have to do some sort of respect to him because it's too soon. It's too soon to say anything bad. That's debatable with certain people. I mean, I don't know if you guys know my opinion on that one. No, it's not. It's never too soon. We can say he's a piece of shit right now. We can say that his death actually is saving lives in a way. There's even in principle, all the people he's responsible for murdering. And we're not just talking about Palestine. We're talking about Iran. We're talking about Lebanon. We're talking about Latin American countries too. We're talking about Venezuela. We're talking about Cuba. He said Cuba's next. He has a whole pecking order of taking out one country after the next. And he's had the ear to Trump, and he's the direct connection with Netanyahu. A lot of the times with those fake battles and disputes going on between Trump and Netanyahu, Lindsey Graham was that connecting piece. So he's the one that knows how to speak the language of Israel and of Trump and combine those two. So it's very, very essential piece to the puzzle. Now he's dead. So what happened? Sudden, brief and sudden. You guys know how we feel about all of a sudden, right? We look into those things and we say, oh, I wonder what that could have been from, because we see a lot of that these days. But it doesn't make sense because why? Because he looked really, really healthy, right? So we're looking at the last thing. So let's look at the last thing that happened. I'm sorry, but Lindsey Graham dying out of the blue like this doesn't make any sense at all. We have him on camera yesterday looking perfectly healthy. None of this is making any sense. So people started putting this together. And it was right about then we realized, wait a minute, he wasn't just hanging out in D.C. This mother effer was in Ukraine, giving this speech just hours before his death.
Get back to Washington. I'm going to go with Senator Blumenthal to the Republican and Democratic leader to see if we can find time to move this Russian sanctions package that would give tools to President Trump to help end this war.
So he gave this speech and then he got on a plane. The timeline it's just looking a little weird. It's a little strange, right? It's a little strange. So we say, well, what was the last thing he did? Was after the speech, before the speech, right around the same time? It's hard to really timestamp it, but he was underground in a drone facility, right? Holding a big fat dildo-shaped drone with that big smile. This is the last picture taken of Lindsey Graham. And the smile is because not just the incredibly weird sexual innuendo that he tends to have in these situations, but also the power in his hand. This is the thing that will be killing a lot of innocent Russians, that's his intention. It's to murder Russians, civilians. That's what this is for. And so we know that Putin has been targeting these drone facilities and taking them out, which he should be doing because this is insane. And so he was given this tour. So what happened? And why on that statement was nothing said about this flight that he had to take back? This flight that had to happen in a very a certain amount of hours in order for him to have an official death time that was before midnight Eastern time, which he had to have like by at the latest 11:59 p.m. official death time to get that Saturday death day count, right? And that's how it works. You have to beat the clock. So how does he get, these long ass 20-hour flights? It doesn't really make much sense. Even though it seems that this was taken on Friday, does he get on a plane immediately, get back to DC and die? It's very, very bizarre. So another thing that gets weird, and again, there was nothing mentioned about Ukraine in the announcement. Just, on the way back from Ukraine, he wasn't feeling well. No, he just died randomly. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't flying. So we had to piece this together. Well, let's see the damage control happening at Newsmax. I want you to pay attention to this because they had Trump call in about this, and it's a really weird phone call. If you really think about this, listen to this exchange. This is to avoid anybody from having a question about this.
Well, Jillian, at least one person is dead after some dangerous flooding in Missouri over the weekend. The latest on recovery.
I got the wrong one. Here we go. My bad. Here's the right clip. Let's edit that one in post and try it again. Here we go.
We've heard a lot of your comments. You lost a big friend. I saw him in Ukraine on his way back, and we all saw the video. He didn't look so hot. I'm told by those who know him, maybe he looked a little off. He was tired. Look, the Russians have a habit of poisoning people they don't like. And Lindsey Graham once called for Putin to be, taken out. You have any suspicions or worries? Do you think we know the whole story about his death?
Well, I think we do. We've had great doctors, and they talked about, a certain part of his body literally blew up. And that.
Oh, what did he say? Oh, a certain part of his body blew up. That's weird. Why would you say that? It's very bizarre word choice. God, doesn't it remind you of some of the word slips back at 9/11 with the demolition of the towers or the explosions? There was explosions. Oopsie, but Bush W had a little oopsie once. It's bizarre that you would use a word like that here in this call. And then also the doctor, just to be clear, the same doctor, and he says this in another clip. So just follow the paper trail here. But the doctor that apparently looked at Lindsey Graham is the same doctor that looked at Trump's ear. Just so you guys know, same doctor. That's who he's elevating. This guy's great. So he had an exploding body part. What? Okay, go on.
It's a condition I believe his father had also. His father died very, very young from heart complications, and that's what Lindsey had. And it's something that's, number one, is very tough to see. And even if you see it, it's hard to fix, very hard to fix. And, he had a problem with arteries, and I thought he was like a 70% blockage. I said, Lindsey, you're going to have to go and take care of that. But this was not that problem. This was a different problem that wasn't really related. So he called me, and I said, how you doing? He just got back from Ukraine. He was a worker. I tell you, he was always someplace. And he loved it, though. He really loved it. He was good. He was really a great politician, actually. But he just got back, and I said, how you doing? And he said, well, I'm doing good, but I'm tired. And within, a short period of time after that call, he was gone. Amazing, actually. But he was, I don't think, just to answer the conspiracy theory, I don't know. I'd love to say yes. But
to answer the conspiracy theory with a little chuckle. And what is this like? It's like he was on the witness stand talking about a phone call, and he was fine. And then it was like, it's a little underprepared. That's what I'm going to go with. Little underprepared.
But I think he had some problems, and
yeah. So you're going to say he sounded fine, but then he had some problems, and then it's a weird timeline. It's weird to use exploding part of his body in a sentence. It's weird. The whole thing, it's very bizarre. So why don't we look just a little closer at this right now? at the question we're all asking. And you can call us conspiracy theorists, or you can just take a look at this. So what are we looking at? Well, this is the question. Did Russia just eliminate warmonger Lindsey Graham in Kyiv? Now, we're going to ask the question. We're not assuming, and we don't want you guys to assume we're saying on purpose even. This is what we literally calling the show collateral damage. It might have just been they're actually attacking these drone facilities. That's what Putin's doing. This particular one, it seems that we've gotten word that this particular drone facility has been hit and was hit around that same time. So again, if it hit and he was there, and I know some people are asking this, well, what about Zelensky? Doesn't he give the tours? Why is he alive? Well, apparently we got word that Zelensky was not down in when those pictures were taken and the tour was happening. He wasn't actually there. So those are all facts checking out. Now, look, let's read this. Let's ask this question, and let's not assume it was on purpose, but hitting that drone facility certainly was on purpose. Let's start with that. So yes, this is the guy, senator, who famously called killing Russians the best investment we ever made. Died at 70. Actually, it was 71. He literally just had his birthday, which is pretty funny. He had his birthday, goes to Ukraine to hold this big dildo drone, and then is dead. I guess a part of his body blew up or something. So according to our president, one of the parts of his body exploded. So that's the official line. Okay. So the 48-hour timeline. So he meets Zelensky and tours this drone manufacturer facility. Hours later, the Russian MOD launches a devastating missile attack and obliterates this exact factory. Simultaneously, Russian precision missiles leveled a high-profile hotel in Kyiv, packed with top NATO commanders, where Graham was reportedly staying. So could it have been at the hotel? Wow. Okay. Well, we got to look more into this. This is interesting. Graham instantly died suddenly right after returning home. He wanted to bring hellish sanctions to Russia, but it looks like he went straight to hell instead. Did a Russian strike catch him in a drone factory or the NATO hotel, or did someone else in Washington send him there knowing the missiles were there? Or we'll give the benefit of the doubt and say the whole thing was one big wrong place, right time. Or you could say wrong time, right place. However you want to say it. He's not here anymore. This is the shot. Let's bring this up. I'll bring that down here, guys. This is the actual hit. So you guys know this happened. And Russia's been taking out these drone facilities. Just to be clear, this isn't the first one. This is just the one that Lindsey Graham decided to show up and do this little photo op at right before he died suddenly from an exploding body part. According to our president, an exploding body part. Okay. So look, we're going to leave those questions to be right now. And I just want to say one more part of this story right now is worth mentioning, because another question is, whether it was Russia or not, why isn't the Democratic Party, and I don't mean the independent journalists, I mean elected officials like the Cory Bookers, the people that have given all of this money to Ukraine on behalf of stop Putin from taking over the world, right? That was the whole point, right? Why haven't they at least alluded to this? Why are people like Cory Booker putting videos out like this one? And if we can understand why that's happening, then we'll understand more about why, even if Russia didn't do it, why are we not using this as an opportunity to push more Russiagate? It's quite bizarre when you think about it. And then to have a guy like Cory Booker say something like this right after the guy died suddenly or exploded suddenly. According to our president, he exploded suddenly.
Negotiators during that first negotiation told me that Lindsey Graham was like an unguided missile. That God, you never knew which way he was going to go, whether he would come back and hit you. But when he was aligned, when he would be in the right place at the right time, man, he could get things done that other people couldn't and bring a lot of light and new possibilities to the efforts. I am stunned at Lindsey Graham's death, but I pray that he is reunited with his friend, John McCain, that they both are experiencing God's love, grace, mercy, and forgiveness. My prayers are with his family and all those who loved and cherished him.
The fact that he brings up John McCain is absolutely insane, because being reunited with another psychopath warmonger, people that you should have been elected to go in and stop. You're calling everybody friends, and we all have these things in common. What are those things in common? Is it Greater Israel Project? Is that why John McCain is best known for bomb Iran and colluding with Lindsey Graham in 2016 to start the proxy war in Ukraine by elevating this what do we call this? This Azov battalion, neo-Nazi battalion, to push shootings in the Donbass, murdering people in the Donbass, the extensive killings, not having any intention to have a Minsk agreement signed, and when you sign it, you're lying, and then you admit to later you were lying. You never wanted to have an agreement with Putin. You wanted to push this proxy war. So why would you bring up John McCain and say you're reunited? Well, maybe there is some sick truth to that. He is reunited with his other friend, the psychopath that went before him. But why does Cory Booker have to put this out right now?
I will miss my perhaps most unexpected friend in the Senate, and someone with whom I got some good things done.
You got some good things done? What the hell did you get done? What are you talking about? Are you talking about the funneling of the money in the Ukraine war? Are you talking about that? You talking about protecting Israel at all costs, which means arm them so they can invade and blow up and go to war with 7 of their neighbors? Is that what you mean by getting stuff done? I think it is. And you might know deep down that Russia might have actually had something to do with this, because if you suggest that, which it doesn't make any sense why you wouldn't, because the whole point. Oh, we got another freeze. Give me a second, guys. Okay, back it up. So that's the reveal, right? The fact that he's saying you agreed on something, you can't believe he's gone, your heart is broken, he's with your friend. You're telling us right here, you're telling us that you're all in on it together. That's what you're saying. And that Russiagate was a hoax the whole time, as we know, because if you really believe this, you'd be accusing Putin of this right now, and you're not. You're not, because you know deep down that he might have actually done it, even if it was collateral damage. Not even saying it's on purpose. We're saying you might know deep down that might be. And so if you guys are thinking that the left is this more noble party, more noble than Lindsey Graham, Cory Booker's telling you, no, we're all pieces of shit. All of us, me, John McCain, and Lindsey Graham. And I can't wait to join my friends down in hell when it's my turn to go. Okay, let's go ahead and set up the next segment here, guys, because we will be joined. Okay, I think we're good here. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me do this, because we had a little tech issue, and I want to make sure we have worked it out before we bring in our next guest. We're excited about this one. Give me 1 second. You know what I'm gonna do, guys? Give us a 2-minute. I'm gonna reset the tech, and we'll be right back with Delete LAWZ, CHILLE DeCASTRO. Hold on tight, guys. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Here we go. Okay, we are back with some more Homeless Left for you guys. If you're joining us late, don't worry about it. You can always go back and watch the replay. We keep all our lives up on both our channels, on Rumble and on YouTube. So you can go back and watch anytime. We also upload the segments as well. So you guys can always share those out. We recommend you do that, actually, because sharing out segments gives you a chance to engage with people on particular topics that maybe it's extending an olive branch, having a conversation, a long overdue conversation. Maybe somebody that uninvited you to Thanksgiving a few years back, or somebody who voted for the wrong person. You might have a topic that something you can align with and say, hey, I thought you'd be interested in this, or I wanted to hear your thoughts. Good conversation starter in that regard. And that's one thing we can do, and just get these stories out there, get these conversations happening beyond just the time that we're here with you. So just keep that in mind. We're not just pulling the curtain back. We're giving you guys tools that you can share too. That's what it's about. And with that, this is actually a pretty good transition to our next guest, because this is a guy who does this every day. I'm going to introduce him to you right now. And if you don't know about this, now you know. So here we go, guys. He's a constitutional law scholar, First Amendment auditor. He is the founder of Delete LAWZ, which educates the public to know the law, know your rights, and provides resources to help U.S. citizens survive unlawful police interactions, detainment, or arrests or convictions. This is a little clip of what he does. It's Delete LAWZ, and you guys can see it for yourself. Here it is.
Go yourself.
You need to listen to me, and you need to listen good.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle.
If I told you once, I'm telling you again.
Hey! Hey! On this land. Look out. You're under arrest.
Pennsylvania versus Mims says that you have to get out of the car. It's a policy created by the unelected Supreme Court. The lynchings in America ended in 1965. Terry was passed in 1968 that puts officer safety over all your rights.
What I'm gonna have to do is just step out for me, okay? What? Hey, whoa, hey. Look at this shit. Look at this weird ass nigga. Look at this weird ass nigga. Look at this weird ass nigga. I don't care. Ah!
Piggybacking off of Terry versus Ohio in 1968, Mims says you have to get out of the car. And if you don't get out of the car, you'll be lynched.
What is your reason? All right. No.
Now, I have told you, I taught you, I built an entire wall that shows the history of this country.
I have a whole fucking baby here, bro.
I'm pressing harassment charges on you guys, too. Shut up!
You got me fucking leaking, bro, in front of my baby, yo. You see my face? You just got out of the car.
Now, I've taught you, I've told you, I've stood here, standing, and I've delivered. Now go tell your friends.
Can't hear you, Matt. Can't hear you, buddy. What'd you say? Maybe it's my volume's all the way down. I don't know.
I got you now.
There you are.
We were having some issues. All right.
Thanks.
Welcome to the show, CHILLE DeCASTRO. Good to have you here. Delete LAWZ. You've been doing this type of stuff for at least 3-4 years right now. I'd like you to please let us know, and it's good to have you here. Let us know how you came up with this and why this is so important. That you're holding these police accountable and giving people these tools that they can get out of these situations.
3 or 4 years, Matt. I believe that I cast you as an actor in the year 2015. Pretty sure that's the year I cast you. So that's just 11 years that you and I know of. But I actually started becoming a civil libertarian in the year 2002. That's when the cops no-knock raided my house with a SWAT team on a confidential tip that I was a drug dealer, even though I've never been a drug dealer in my life. And the cops raided my house, and long story short, I hired a guy named Robert Shapiro who represented O.J. Simpson. We beat all those charges, but I still had to go through an 18-month diversion program because I did have a chemical for bodybuilding, but I wasn't in any way, shape, or form a drug dealer. And they had already used an entire team of guys to raid me. So they had to justify the raid in some way. I know who the confidential informant was. I know the whole thing. It'll come out in my book. But since 2002, 24 years ago, I've been studying the Constitution and the history of law and understanding, where does the word law come from? Well, you say it's the rule of law. For me, I wanted to know, what is the rule of law? What exactly is that? When you say the rule of law, what does that mean? So in 2002, I found out that the rule of law in America, the backbone of the rule of law, is the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that the only reason that government is formed is to uphold our civil liberties. You'll often hear people say we live under the rule of law. No, we don't. The rule of law upholds our civil liberties, upholds our rights. So we've got it backwards now. Now we have law enforcers in this country. Our founding fathers would roll over in their graves if they knew there were men walking around stripping others of their guns while they carry guns and saying, we're law enforcers and you guys are citizens. It's just, it's exactly, it's exactly the opposite of freedom, of the rule of law. It's exactly the opposite. It's so frustrating because we live in such a police state, prison state, death state that I've had to do what I've had to do to be who I am. So, that's where we are now. That's how I got here. And since then, I've been arrested. Since 2002, I've been arrested 20 times, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is what you sign up for. You're getting arrested because you are going into the lion's den here. You're going in there to take on this completely corrupt system that's by design. And I know we talk to our viewers a lot about the understanding that this isn't a bad apple situation, right? We're not talking about find that bad apple and call him out. No, the entire police system is corrupt. So this is why, folks like you are so essential to exposing this. And it sounds like you're taking the hit over and over for this. Can I ask you about the political part of it, as far as a lot of people, when they think about, holding cops accountable, they think this is a very specifically left thing. They think about Black Lives Matter. They think about this thing that only like half the country is interested in. Do you feel like doing this, that you're seeing and are people understanding that this is beyond a left-right situation, but it's a people versus power? Are you seeing more people respond that way? Or are we still stuck back in this Colin Kaepernick takes a knee and only, that's a radical thing to do? I mean, are people waking up to this that you've seen?
Oh yeah. 100%. I think that the left versus right paradigm has melted. I think that people are so, I mean, I hate to use the word woke, but I'm pretty sure that the people are completely woke now, that there's just, everybody can see the corruption. The majority of this country voted for Trump with this idea that maybe he was going to care about legacy and be a little bit of a better president. When he got in, those swamp monsters he had the first time, he became the swamp monster. And so a lot of people on the right are completely and utterly disillusioned with what Trump has done, to the point where now they're saying it doesn't matter who you vote for, we're going to get the same thing. I had a conversation with someone the other day. I said Kamala would have been a better president because it's been horrible. So my position is the rule of law is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are intended to uphold our civil liberties. And this administration has done exactly the opposite, where the most important thing is control, domination, thousands and thousands of masked secret police on our streets. And I'm super happy to see that the right has now embraced the fact that this police state is against them as well. And finally, and to steal something that my friend James Freeman told me on the phone the other day, he said, I'm happy to see that finally a good percentage of Americans are endorsing and embracing lawlessness when we talk about the smashing and destroying and taking down of the flock cameras. I have not seen a post. I have seen one or two, but for the most part, I have not seen a post that someone says, taking down flock cameras is a terrible thing. I've seen a couple of bootlickers. The majority, Sean Strickland is tweeting out, all you patriots who are taking down flock cameras, thank God. So it's like we finally reached a point where collectively, you and I, Matt, say Matt's on the right and Chille's on the left. Finally, we say, hey, wait a minute, we're on the same side. It's us versus the elite pedophile billionaire class and these Elon Musk tech bro butt buddies, Peter Thiel. We see what it is. We see what it is. And let me just tell your audience, a revolution is coming. It is coming. And we can't stop it, unfortunately.
You know, I think you might be onto something with the flock cameras, because this is the first time we're seeing protests that are happening with literally not a partisan push. Like that there's an equal frustration, an equal, we're at our wits' end from both sides. And that's what's great about it. It's the first, like, because we mentioned these past movements, these have all been hijacked. We know that Black Lives Matter was a top-down operation, and it was designed to keep us apart, right? Because you have the CIA puts the bricks out in the middle of the night in Seattle and Portland, and then, oh, look at these Antifa. And no, they're trying this Antifa crap right now on the flock protest, and no one's falling for it. So I think you were definitely onto something, because you're saying, no, we're all affected by this takeover. It's surveillance state. Peter Thiel, we're talking about this technocracy takeover, and they're using the Republican Party the same way they use the Democratic Party to get the other half of the country on board for it. But like you said, the Trump voters are figuring it out. I would say this, I would challenge that it's better that Trump got in, because I think if Kamala got in, less people would be able to see it. It's so freaking obvious. And I think maybe we need that, right? We need that obviousness to get people out of their couches and into the street. I think that's what I'm seeing, at least.
Listen, you know, I was a big supporter of Black Lives Matter. I was a huge supporter of it. I thought finally a term came around that actually encapsulated what had been happening to the Black community for decades and decades and decades. And for your audience who doesn't know, let me just inform you, the majority of our laws that a law is created. If you guys don't know how it works, it goes through the legislature. You know, people are running for the House right now in your state, or maybe every 2 years, the House turns over, and that's by design, Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. So for decades and decades and decades, the legislature has created laws that were specifically targeted for Black people, specifically. And those laws are now used against all of us. So I thought when Black Lives Matter came out, it was this really good thing. And then over time, we found out that there was individuals within that who were making millions of dollars, siphoning all the money, and the money was going through Act Blue, Democratic. And I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican, so I'm a fierce independent. But I think it's sad what happened with Black Lives Matter and putting the brick. I mean, to this day, Matt, just so you know, I'm an avid worker outer, and whether I'm walking or running, to this day, I walk by places and I'm always looking for a pallet of bricks, just perfect hand-sized bricks, just placed all over the city. And we're not seeing that anymore. We're not seeing that anymore. So it was a setup. It was rigged, and we were rigged to fail. And then so just, you know, talking about Black Lives Matter and going back to before there was, it went, who was it in 1992? Rodney King.
We had Rodney King.
Eric Garner.
Yeah. Eric Garner was 2014, I think.
2014. And then the last one was George Floyd.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But Eric Garner, we saw get murdered in the street, get choked out. We saw him die. And so we all knew that he got choked out and died. But George Floyd was the first one where we started to enter into 1984. Don't believe what your eyes saw and your ears heard. You didn't see those men snuff his life out by putting their weight on top of him, putting their knees in his neck for 8.5 minutes. That's not how Floyd died. The way he died is a drug overdose. Yeah. And now and then it got a political football, right? Then everybody on the right was saying, oh no, he died of a drug overdose. He died of a, you know, look, my eyes saw, my ears heard. I don't need the government to tell me what I saw and what I heard. Now, so just a simple fact, he would not have been dead. He would have gone through those, because I'm no rookie. I've been in Hollywood for 25 years. There was a time when I first got here, my first couple of years, I went out on the town and partied, right? But fortunately for me, I never got caught up in that shit. But I partied, and I know that you can get through the night if someone doesn't jump on top of you, stick their knees in your neck. Now, if you're in the middle of a party in Hollywood and someone jumps on top of you and sticks their knees in your neck, you could die. Yeah, yeah. If you do a bunch of stuff and then someone jumps on top of you, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, I know a guy in Houston who died from that. 2 guys from Houston I know got in a fight when they were all hopped up on all kinds of stuff, and the other guy died. And then the coroner report said he died of a drug overdose. No, he didn't. He died because they had a fist fight and exerting your body. We saw it back in the 90s. Remember, NBA players who were doing blow would run down the court and they're exercising on drugs and they would die. Right?
Yeah.
Well,
There was a few of those.
It's just the PSY operation that I want to point out here, that the government for the first time with George Floyd told us, you didn't see what you saw. You didn't hear what you heard. Really, this is what happened. And what's amazing to me is the large amount of people who said, yep, that's what happened. It's surreal to me, dude.
We take these pecking, when we're part of a tribe, when we're part of a Democratic Party or Republican Party, we take these pecking orders top down. We're given our instructions, and I think that's the thing we need to look out for right now. And the reason, again, back to the flock stuff, the reason why that is seemingly successful right now is because these movements right now, they don't seem to be infiltrated by any high upper person telling you what to do and how to do it. Here's an email coming to you guys. You want to know how to protest correctly, do it like this. They're not doing that. And that's the first sign that your movement got captured, is when a prominent person shows up to your movement. And then you know you've been infiltrated. So it's good when they don't show up. It's good when they try to ignore you. It's good when they try and silence you. And then it becomes real. Unlike George Floyd, which was a top down, unfortunately, how it was on purpose. It was by design. So the people's movement that you are initiating as a First Amendment auditor, and when you talk about being arrested 20 times, this is incredible. I just want people to understand that because you're putting yourself into, you're putting yourself into this conflict because your intention to expose the corruption within this system, this police system. I have this video of the most recent one that just happened to you in Vegas. I believe you were there auditing in Vegas during the 4th of July weekend, and you got arrested.
Yeah, I got arrested 1 week ago. Yeah, 1 week ago. I guess today is Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, it's about
Tuesday. So I was arrested on it was the 3rd. So it was 11 days ago. The 3rd going into the 4th. I got arrested. I got arrested for simply filming a cop.
Well, let's take a look at the actual arrest, because you were filming, as you do, because you have to document everything, like you tell everyone. Document everything. Well, here we go. Here's Chille's arrest last week in Vegas.
Synchronize. We are downtown Las Vegas on July 4th. 2026. We are on Fremont Street here on the corner of 6th Street and Fremont Street. 6th and Fremont, that's where we are. Okay. And we're just checking out exactly what we have going on here. Lots of coppers. I mean, this is pretty much a full-on. Good. Watch how fast this happens. See, there's other people walking. You see the guy walking down the road in the white shirt? I don't think so, officer. NRS code says that if the street's blocked, I don't have to get out of it. I do appreciate you. Can I get your name and badge number? I'm gonna file a complaint. What are you doing?
You're not gonna fucking walk up on me.
I'm not.
Okay, I told you to get out of the street.
Mine skipped out, Matt. Can you rewind 10 seconds?
Sir, stop resisting. Put your hands behind your back.
Yeah, I can rewind. I
just rewind 10 seconds. And then I sent you another short video that kind of encapsulates it a little better. But yeah, Watch how quickly all I said to him. So just so everybody knows, when they shut down the streets for First Friday, whether it be Austin, Boston, Houston, or Vegas, they shut down the street for you and I to be able to walk in the street. That's literally the legal reason why they stop in the street. And I know that because I'm a constitutional law scholar. And I know for a fact that once that road is closed on both ends, that's a pedestrian right of way. But look at what's happening on the screen right here. I'm filming a cop. There's at least 6 other people walking down that road who nobody talks to. He doesn't say a word to them. But number one, he snuck up behind me and went boop, boop. And my stomach jumped. He was right behind me with a loud siren. My stomach jumped. I just didn't jump out of my skin. And I turned around and looked at him. And then I realized this was the only vehicle moving. Now I know there's no other moving vehicles. The road's blocked off at both ends. I have a legal right to be here. So once I have a legal right to be here, I'm willing to take the arrest. Now, I didn't think he was going to arrest me that quickly, but he sure did.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Get out of the street.
I don't think so, officer. NRS code says that if the street's blocked, I don't have to get out of it. I do appreciate you. Can I get your name and badge number? I'm gonna file a complaint. What are you doing?
You're not gonna fucking walk up on me.
I'm not.
Okay, I told you to get out of the street. You didn't listen.
I didn't do anything.
Sir, stop resisting. Put your hands behind your back. Metro Police.
All I did was ask him his name and badge number.
I know, and I told you to get out of the street. You continue to walk.
All I did was ask your name. I'm filming. What did I do wrong?
Were you live streaming at the time, Chili?
No, I was not live, but fortunately, I had a member of Team DLZ on the phone. So there's all kinds of. I don't know if Signal does it, but I know that WhatsApp does it, and I know that you can do it on your regular phone. And I had a member of Team DLZ tracking me because I started a new company called You've Got Bail. You've Got Bail won't launch till October. We were supposed to launch in June. We had a couple setbacks because that's how technology works. And so we're going to launch it in October. But You've Got Bail, what we used on this was the exact same principles of You've Got Bail. Because if you get arrested and you go to jail, you're there for 12 to 24 hours at a minimum. And that's if you have means. If you have somebody who has bail money, if you have a car to come and get you, and these things I'm saying, they sound like very minimal stuff. But if you have enough money to get out of jail and you have a car and a person who can come and get you, you have means. Because there's a large portion of America that doesn't have those means. So what You've Got Bail does is it creates those means for that person to be able to get out of jail. It allows us to track you so that we know you check in, I'm going to go audit. Now we can track you and make sure we're going to get you out of jail. So I had a member of Team DLZ tracking me the whole time. So the moment my phone stopped moving and I ended up under a bridge, which is where I ended up, they knew I was in jail and boom, it kicked in. I was out in 16 hours. And I would have been out sooner, but they had a glitch at the jail where their systems shut down. Is what happened. So then I said, and let me give a shout out to the Las Vegas City Jail. Typically, you go to jail, and don't get me wrong, when I went through the booking line, those guys were assholes. And there was a couple of asshole guards in jail. But CO Ross was the commanding CO in the jail. Dude was a class act to me. He was a class act to all of us, actually. I've been in probably 30 jails, I don't know. If I sit and count, I can figure it out. Let's say 24 jails I've been in my lifetime, typically for one night or 2 nights because they can't get a charge to stick against me. But that jail particularly, while it was filthy and disgusting, and that's true, the commanding guards were actually, they're locking you in a box. So, yeah. But shout out to those guys because they were actually pretty decent to me. You know what I'm saying?
So you were out in 16, or because of the glitch, it was a little more than 16 hours. But
yeah, okay. So what happened on First Friday is one of the guards, I'm not going to say who, but one of the guards. Let me get my dog. 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. All right, guys, we are talking with Chili from Delete LAWZ and hearing about this story of his 20th arrest, I believe. We're on number 20. So yeah, tell us what.
So one of the guards came in, and I promised I wouldn't tell his name, but he did lay this out for us. He said, because what's ironic, Matt, is who knows me the most? People in jail and jail guards and cops. That's who knows me the most. So the moment that I got arrested, the guys who were booking me through they took me from First Friday, where you saw they arrested me, to then under a bridge where they had set up their pig. They had set up their pig trough, you know, and so you had 10 pigs sitting at tables. And as I was going down the booking line, one of them said, "Oh, you're Chili. Got arrested, huh, Chili?" Half of those guys knew who I was right away. And so I believe that there's a very good possibility that cop Kramer knew who I was. But then when I went under the bridge for like 2 hours, and this cop named Flowers put the straps on me way too tight. I don't have any damage, but just to sit there and be tortured for 2 hours, which I was in these torture cuffs. It was horrible. Oh, torture cuffs are always torture. My crowd knows torture cuffs are always torture. And if you've ever been put in torture cuffs, you know why you call them torture cuffs, because they are. And then I sat under the bridge for 2 hours. Then I went from the bridge to the Las Vegas City Jail, but they didn't just take us to the jail. They took us in a dog pound truck. So they had converted a truck, put 2 benches on the outside of it, just a truck with a canopy. But then the canopy was shaped like this. So that means the side of it, your head, you can't lean all the way back. You're like this. And then going over the bumps was horrific. Being in the back of that thing was horrific. Like, you're treated like an absolute, I thought you were innocent until proven guilty. Well, they treat you like shit immediately, like total shit. Right. Then I get to the Las Vegas City Jail, the room they have us in. I said something inaccurately the other day. I want to say accurately. There was 23 of us in the room. It was a room built for 10 people, 10 seats. And other than that, you had to sit on the floor, which was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Trash, spit, piss, shit, disgusting. Old food, you name it. Then a guy pukes in the cell. Right there, just pukes because he's been drinking. And then one of the guards comes in. I'm not going to say who it was, because I promised him I would keep his name privately. But he looked at me and he said, "Chili, can you do me a favor? I know you got this big platform." He said, "Can you make an announcement on your page just to not go down to First Friday in Las Vegas? The first Friday of every month, they have a big festival. The city closes down the roads for the pedestrians by a permit or by ordinance." And he said, "Can you just tell people not to come?" He said, "The reason why you guys were stuck here for so long, this would have been a 4 or 5 hour process, because our computers got overwhelmed, because we had over 130 people arrested for 3 different things: stepping in the road, like you, open container, which 95% of people have open containers, or marijuana on the street." The jail system that is owned by Core Civic and Geo Group, they make a profit. So when people tell me, this pisses me off, that the jails there's no more for-profit jails or prisons. They're all for profit. Every one of them. And what am I talking about? There's a vendor that sells food to that jail. He's making money. What about the clothing? There's a vendor. What about the washing? There's a vendor. What about the cuffs? What about the hats? Think of an item. What about the apples? What about the cereal? What about the eggs? There's somebody making money. And then more than likely, that jail itself has somebody who's leasing the building, owns the building, renting the building. Yeah. They're all for profit. And the more people you have in that dungeon, the more money somebody's making. If I got to deliver more cornflakes, well, I'm making more money. So someone's making money off you going to a dungeon. And then the cities, which is when I'm governor, I'm going to change this bullshit. I got a book coming out called The Governor's Handbook that I have 80% done, but I'm in a fight right now to raise 15 grand to pay for my attorney. But in the Governor's Handbook, it's extraordinarily clear that the contract says between the city or the county or the state that the jail has to have a certain percentage of occupancy, or Core Civic and Geo Group can sue you and you got to pay them. Fuck that. Who signed that contract? Yeah. Who signed that contract that says you have to imprison a certain amount of people, or you have to pay the jail more money? Who agreed to that?
You might be able to date this back to, I don't know, sometime around the crime bill, which was passed by then Senator Joe Biden, along with President Bill Clinton. And yeah, it was a huge Democratic push to it had to do with the 3 strikes and all this. Yeah. Loading up the prison system for the prison industrial complex, and everybody cashing in on it. It's been like that since that was the mid-90s, right? That's when
1994 crime bill. You're spot on. Written by Joe Biden, signed into law by Bill Clinton, which included the sentence enhancements, where, if you got arrested, but you had a gun, well, then that's an enhancement of 10 years. You know, if you got arrested, but they found drugs, that could include marijuana. You get arrested, but they find drugs and it's an assault. So now you're a malicious, violent felon. That adds 10 years. And the prison industry, there's a graph on my wall here. The prison industry shot up like a rocket. And that was a Democrat administration. Just like when Reagan came in, he created the for-profit prisons. CoreCivic and Geo Group, you've heard of those two things. That was started in 1982 by Ronald Reagan. He called a bunch of his buddies, just like dumpster fire is doing now. He calls his buddies and say, hey, I'm going to announce the oil prices are going to dip tomorrow. And then his buddies all buy the dip. The next day they make $100 million, right? Ronald Reagan did the exact same thing. He called all of his buddies and said, hey, the states can't handle all the volume of people being arrested. So we're going to create a for-profit prison system where a private corporation come in. The people who started CoreCivic and Geo Group were Ronald Reagan's butt buddies. That's who it was.
And this is great to remind people of this, that Trump isn't the first one to cash in and play the stocks, in his favor and his family members' favor. The whole thing's been rigged the whole time. He's just been the most out loud about it. I think it's just the most obvious, and he's probably cashed in more than anyone else. But the point is, it's been this way. You can make the case at least since Reagan, but maybe even before that. But there was definitely, as far as the collusion of the corporatism takeover, the corporate takeover of our government, and the privatization and calling it a free market. I mean, that's the real trick, I think, on the American people, that this American dream of, hey, free market, let it be, whoever is got the best company is going to be the most profitable. Yes, but it's always against us. There's no profit in innocence. There's no profit in health, and there's no profit in peace. So we know the things that make money, and it always works against us. And I think that's the thing we're all starting to realize now. I think so. I think what you're doing should be getting people's attention from all political sides, because that's
it is. It is. To be honest with you, even though the social media companies are constantly screwing me, I've never been more popular as an activist than I am today, because now there's no longer the left-right thing where people are like, oh, he's harassing the police. No, I'm not harassing the police. We just saw me get arrested for simply saying, can I get your name and badge number? And I hadn't broken any laws.
You were very polite, by the way. You were very like, hi, officer, I just, it's like, what the hell, man?
Well, we had federal court in February for a different arrest that I suffered. And at that court, at that trial, when I was in the DA, the defense counsel for the cops used everything I said in the video against me, even pulled up old videos and said, oh, here, he just hates all cops. And it is true that I do hate cops, but at the same time, while I hate policing, not all cops are bad people. So I hate the policing apparatus of officer safety over our rights. But I actually, just so you know, the people I talk to the most on the phone are cops and ex-cops. Really? They're the ones. Oh my God. They're constantly informing me. Like they'll call me, and there's good cops out there, which is
really, well, how do they survive in this job? If they're good, don't they get pushed out, or don't they ultimately succumb to it? What's their story? I'm very curious, actually. You talk to them directly.
So let me give you guys the breakdown here, because people don't understand this, and they need to. And listen, before I went to jail in 2024, I was ACAB. Every cop's a bastard. All jail guards are bastards. I was that way. And I do still feel like it's ACAB, because once a cop's in front of you, you got to treat him like he's a loaded gun and he's your enemy. And you have to know what you're doing here, which I have a whole system I devised for how to handle a pullover. But most cops don't sign up. And you'll see from my last 4 or 5 interviews I've done with cops, they don't sign up because they want to uphold the Constitution. They want to make sure that your Bill of Rights is upheld. That's not where they sign up. Most cops sign up because they were working, digging ditches. They didn't have a criminal record, but they've been doing this 6 years. The cop I interviewed last week in Vegas. Most cops sign up because they got 3 kids and they're working in sales, but they're not making the money. They need a little more security. Most cops sign up because they need an opportunity to make more money and to have a good pension and good benefits. That's the number one reason why cops sign up to be cops.
Sure. So they go in good, but then
Right.
then they realize something's wrong inside, right? Then what happens?
Well, what happens is, and you can get this from following Millionaire Cop on Instagram or following this gentleman on Instagram. And what happens is when you go in, I want to get this gentleman's name who I DM with back and forth all the time. He's retired. He tries to get other police to retire, to get out of it. But when you get in, what you find out is that it's a corrupted, disgusting, dirty system. And if you don't follow those policies, procedures, and protocols, and I'm not making excuses for cops here, they should quit and find something else to do. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, the reason why they sign up is because they got 3 kids and their wife's pregnant with the 4th and they can't pay their mortgage. That's why most cops sign up.
That's another reason why people go sign up for the military. It's the same thing. And they go and they capture people that are desperate. They show up on campuses where people can't afford their lives, and they get fear baited into, what are you going to do later? How are you going to take care of your family struggling? This is the way you can get to your country. And then they spit you out the back end. So we know that story. It's kind of similar in this regard, right? Because they think this is a solution to a problem, right?
For them.
Okay.
It's a solution to a problem for them. Then they get in and they find out that these policies, procedures, and protocols, when they're captured on camera, are inhumane, brutal, and barbaric, and they look like a total asshole. It gets worse. The guy above them hazes them, treats them like shit.
Sure.
You ever say to the cop, oh, these cuffs are torture, they're hurting my wrist. He says they're not supposed to be comfortable, right? He learned that from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else, he heard another guy who was older than him say that.
Yep.
And so then the guy above you hazes you, the guy below you haze that guy. So they all hate each other. If you get on a cohesive unit within policing where there's like 5-6 guys on the same squad and they all get along, and even if superior, inferior, there's still no like drama between them. Enjoy that time, officer. It's going to last this long. And that group that you were a part of, once that's broken up, you may never get that again, ever, because cops tell me that. They absolutely tell that to me. So we have a system. And now, if I'm not sure if you're noticing or not, but a lot of cops today talk with accent like this. A lot of cops today, because they have green card and they want to be here. And so the government right now is hiring any immigrant from the Philippines, from Africa, from South America to be a cop, as long as they'll be a brown shirt and do whatever they're told and be willing to hurt people and take them to a dungeon. How could you possibly know the Constitution as well as I do if you've been in this country for 18 months and now you're a cop? Or you've been here for 3 years. I don't care if you've been here for 5 years. There's no way that you know about as much as law as I do. You don't. And so they're not upholding our constitutional rights. What they're doing is they are enforcing laws upon us. What do we see that's the most egregious? You're not wearing your seatbelt, so now I got to pull you over. Now I pull you over. Now I need your ID because you're not wearing your seatbelt. And the passenger says, I don't want to give you my ID. I'm the passenger. He says, well, you broke the law. They created a law for our safety. And now if you don't comply, the cop will kill you.
Yeah.
He'll kill you.
Yeah.
You'll die.
And
Today. You'll die today.
Yeah. These are all the reasons why it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that there's these good ones in there. Are they trying to change this and make it better? Are they looking for their next, they're looking through the want ads, right? They're looking through the want, the offers, the job offers on, the little gig work, right? Because they have to figure out this isn't working. These people are insane. That has to be the case. I mean, otherwise what's the difference between signing up for the police, signing up for the military, signing up for ICE? What's the difference? You're taking didn't they offer $50,000 sign up bonus? Dean Cain, Superman, who was out of work for so long, he's like, oh, I need my little bonus. So what kind of, I'm just saying it's hard in this time to understand why. I get it. You're vulnerable, you're desperate, but at some point you got to walk away from the complete brutality and a system that is so corrupt. It goes well. And in fact, I would argue even beyond we talked about Reagan and Clinton eras, but this has been a problem for many, many years. And now it's even worse, Chili. Now we have this, and I want to bring up the elephant in the room. I want to bring up our greatest ally of all time, our bestie frenzies.
I sent you a clip yesterday. Did you get that?
I have this. We saw this. This is important because a lot of people didn't know this. We knew that our police has been infiltrated by Israel for many years. This CIA officer, I'm going to play this clip. People are seeing this now. John Carrico, he says that the Zionist regime is currently actively training U.S. police departments, and they've been infiltrating our law enforcement for this entire time. Specifically, he's pointing out Cop City in Atlanta, but this is happening everywhere. It's happening in New York, in LA, obviously, in Atlanta, like I said, Chicago, New York, New Orleans, everywhere. So here is this, and this is a big deal for people that haven't been paying attention to this. But this is real.
That most mainstream outlets don't talk about is that the Israelis are already in the United States training local police departments. We know, for example, that the Israelis are training the Atlanta police, that this area now called Cop City is the site of Israeli police and Israeli IDF training our own police. I don't want the Israelis training American police departments. The Israelis have no respect for human rights or civil rights or civil liberties.
So I mean, this is a big problem. I'm glad more people are looking at it now, but it might be a little late, Chili, because we also have this military bill that's coming out that's in the NDAA, which is being voted on right now. That's fusing our militaries together, U.S. and Israel military, which means it's the same budget, it's the same bank account, it's the Pentagon budget. They don't have to go through us anymore. They don't have to kiss our ass and come and get standing ovation. Netanyahu doesn't getting more standing ovations from us and beg for money. Because he can just write his own check out of the same checkbook. This includes the police. The police is the same type of infiltrating military. It's time. Hey, there's civil unrest. There's civil unrest. We need to put our military out. So they won't even have to ask us anymore. So of course they've been training the police to think this way, like IDF soldiers, this entire way. It won't be much of a stretch for these guys. It won't be at all. This is how they've been trained. Again, I'm glad that people are seeing this now, but hasn't this been going on for quite some time, right? The infiltration of our police by a foreign nation.
Well, and there's two specific points here that, as you were talking, I was listening. So the first point is where, if you ever watch police videos, you'll see that the cops will shoot somebody or taser them, or they're having a stroke or a heart attack, or they're having a seizure. And the first thing the cop does after he shoots that guy is runs over and puts him in torture cuffs. The guy's been shot 6 times. After you get shot 6 times, what you're thinking about is someone put a finger in this hole. Let me get this bleeding stopped on my shoulder so I don't die. But the people, our best friends who live east of the middle, they started training our cops 2 decades ago, and they trained them as though they were anybody that they encountered on the street was a Palestinian, an Arab. And if you shoot that Arab, he's got a secret grenade underneath of his trousers, and he's going to pull the grenade out. So when you see cops run up and put people in torture cuffs after they've been shot, that is specifically learned from our best friends east of the middle. And then John, I don't know how to say his last name, the CIA guy who's retired. He went to prison for a couple of years, by the way, because they betrayed him as well.
Kiriakou. I think it's Kiriakou. Yeah.
Kiriakou. So he talked about how these people east of the middle don't respect our civil liberties, but we have a bigger problem than that facing us, and the people need to learn it. The unelected Supreme Court has worked against us since the beginning. The entire setup of our Constitution was a scam. Now, am I a patriot? You bet your ass I am. Every single one of my family members fought in every war we've been in since the Revolutionary War in 1775. So to say that I don't love my country, or I'm not patriotic, or I hate America is some sort of talking point that's not true. But the Supreme Court is appointed. John Jay in Federalist Paper number 2 said, if we appoint the right men in the right places, then we'll be able to keep control and order. So the Supreme Court's working against us, and I can prove it to you. So in the 1989 case of Sokolow versus United States, everybody in the chat here, besides Team DLZ, I know that Team DLZ is in the chat, right? If the cop comes up to you and pulls you over, Matt, and he pulls you over right on, Pico and First, and you get pulled over, and he says, hey, where are you going to? And you say, oh, I'm going to the gym in West Hollywood. It's on Santa Monica and La Cienega where they intersect. So now the Supreme Court has given the police the right to say that if he knows you're coming from right here and you're going to right here, using the cops' training and experience, he can now say that you're a drug courier, or you're a John, or you're involved in nefarious illegal activities. Does he have to articulate that? Absolutely not. He can just say, between this point and that point, we're investigating some criminality. Because my training and experience tells me that, I can't reveal to you what it is. But because you get pulled over and he says, hey, where are you going to? And you're thinking to yourself, I I'm going to the gym up on Santa Monica and La Cienega. You thought that was a harmless answer. It absolutely was not. It literally is designed by our Supreme Court to work against us. So now that you told the cop where you're going to, you talked, you didn't invoke your Fifth Amendment right, you're under investigation for not using your blinker. He's investigating you, looking in the back of your car with a flashlight. Why is he doing that? If he doesn't want to arrest you, why is he looking in the back of your car? Because he's your daddy. So now you told him where you were going. The Supreme Court has now said that the cop is now entitled to pull you out of the car, put you in torture cuffs, and search your car because you told him where you were going. If you had said, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. If you had said, I invoke my fifth, I gave you one of these, Matt. If he said, where are you going to? And you said, here's my license, registration, proof of insurance, officer. I got it all put together for you. Here you go, sir. And he says, well, where are you going to? And you say, respectfully, officer, I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Now you're not a drug courier. And he says to you, well, come on, man. I'm just trying to work with you here. I want to let you go. I'm going to give you a warning for not using your blinker, but where are you going to? And you say, I'm going to my gym on Santa Monica and La Cienega. Step out of the car, turn around, put your hands behind your back. That is literally the system. And if people don't believe me, look up Sokolow, Sokolow versus United States, 1989. If you tell that dirty pig where you're coming from and where you're going to, you're now a drug courier, or you're a John, or you're involved in nefarious activity. The unelected Supreme Court has been the bane of this country. And for blacks, it's been the worst. Not only for blacks, for all of us. Here in California, you have to get a concealed carry weapons permit to carry a gun here. Well, where does that idea come from? Like, thou shalt not be infringed. And as you know, Matt, I'm a gun owner. So I say, why can't I carry a gun in California? The 1911 Sullivan Act, passed in New York City by Governor Tim Sullivan, started off as an executive order, later codified into the New York state legislature. Specifically, that was passed so that black people couldn't carry guns. They gave away 25,000 permits. One of those was Donald Trump Sr., Donald Trump's great-grandfather. He got one of those gun permits. And then 24,999 others. And when they ran out, people went, because obviously New York had millions of people, you know, so they go to the police bureau and they say, hey, wait a minute, I need a concealed carry permit too. He said, we only have 25,000, man, but don't worry. It's not for you. You're not melanated. It was only for melanated people. And that goes back to the 1873 Colfax Massacre in Louisiana, when the Democrats and Republicans were fighting over who won the race for governor. And then Bill Cruikshank took out 140 black guys and executed them through hangings, lynchings, shootings, beatings, chopping their heads off, did all kinds of things to them in 1873. And why did he do that? Because they were assembling at the courthouse, First Amendment right, and they were bearing arms, Second Amendment right. So Bill Cruikshank, after they took over those black guys and some white allies at that courthouse, they then took them out and executed them all. Executed them. Like, just imagine dozens and dozens of men standing there, and then you surround them, and boom, 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 boom. So our country is screwed because of our Supreme Court. It's not elected. They don't have to answer to anybody. They're appointed for life. And that's the problem that we're facing. And people need to understand that. They need to get it, that when you say the Supreme Court said, you better understand that you're sticking up for a bunch of people who are elitists, who are appointed, that are part of that billionaire Epstein class. They're all a part of it. Let me ask you a question. Why can't John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, why can't he call in federal prosecutors and say, hey, bring a federal case? Why can't he do that? Is it outside the bounds of the Constitution?
It should be, because...
But he could. He could take them to lunch and say, hey, listen, guys, I want you to, you know what I'm saying? This is off the record. Hush, hush. Like, oh, by the way, no deals are ever done, right? Everything is by the book. Everything is right. Yeah, right. Everything's done perfect. No one ever goes golfing or has a lunch together and make a plan. The Bilderberg group is fake. They don't really do that. They don't really plan the world out for all of us, you know? So it's like, yeah. So to kind of come back to center to where you were, our best friends east of the middle are an absolute total problem beyond the pale. And the reason why we have the data centers and flock cameras is because America, remember, when they say they're going to merge our militaries, so Trump has deemed all of the data centers military installations to be protected by the military because we want to tear them down. So now who gets access to those data centers? If they're a military installation and we're merging our militaries, so then who gets access to all that data and all that information? Our best friends,
besties. Yes.
East of the middle.
Yes.
East of the middle.
They will have full access, full control, and yeah, be prepared. We tell everyone whatever they're doing over there, they're gonna do here. How they treat people in Palestine is how they're gonna. It's not a joke, guys. We're talking about testing out technology, testing out blueprints, see what they can get away with, and they always end up bringing it back to us. And so, yeah, I totally see this happening. You're right on, Chili, and I think more people need to get upset about this. Obviously, people are upset about the flock cameras. They don't know how fully captured we are right now. If they just do a little bit more research, they'll see that it's even worse than they thought. But I don't know if that's going to make anybody that much more excited. I think that yes, that it's going to be an all-out revolution at some point. So let me ask you one. Before we wrap up, I just want to ask you about the censorship thing, because we obviously know that the stuff you do, and we have this problem all the time, because when we call out power, when you call out the people that control the mechanisms of our communication and the mechanisms of us sharing and just existing, right? And just being here, and they have all of our information, that we are constantly in this uphill battle with them. And I know, and I know this is kind of what we signed up for when we're challenging this stuff every day. Do you think we should put effort into our own self-censoring, or should we just go all out like Sparta style and say, you know what, we're going to take you on, and we're going to go out kicking and screaming ourselves because what we're doing has principle? Or should we be careful about our etiquette, just because we're afraid they're gonna wipe out our channels? We see it happen all the time. They're always wiping it out. And before you answer, I want to point out the ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt, is telling us that they have doubled down on their surveillance of people that are calling out Israel right now. They're doing this 24/7. Journalists, podcasters, any sort of activist, anybody that's doing the stuff that we're doing. And he's bragging about it. He also says that they're training they have the biggest law enforcement training in America, training 20,000 officers. And this is psychological training. That's what ADL isn't physical training. It's psychological training. So this is what's happening now. Should we change what we're doing because at some point they're going to get us all, or should we keep doing what we're doing? I mean, this is scary times, man.
So my account was just suspended recently for 2 weeks. I've had my account. So I've had 5 million TikTok subscribers. I now have a TikTok account with like 5,000, 6,000. I don't know. It's 20 something thousand. I'm not going to rebuild it again. I'm done rebuilding on TikTok. 5 million. So for people who have a following at all whatsoever, imagine having 5 million followers and your account's being deleted systematically, constantly. I've had 4 different YouTube channels wiped out. Instagram, I can't count how many have been wiped out. I'm surprised Instagram has allowed me to have a channel for this long. I'm grateful to all my friends on Instagram for following and liking and sharing and commenting on my videos. Instagram right now for me is an outlet. The folks on Instagram, and of course it's mostly black folks, they get it. People say don't go woke. No, woke. Go woke. Woke. Wake up. The government's a scam. So you notice how I say our best friends east of the middle, right? Everything I say now is slightly like this, slightly like that, right?
I'm seeing you. Yeah. We have to be, yeah.
You have to be that way. And so just so you know, this is a big part of You've Got Bail. Like people think that You've Got Bail is just this thing where I created a system. I designed it in jail of a way to get out of jail, right? It's far more than that. It's a competing social network is what it is. That's why we've had setbacks, because to build something great takes a very long time. And we have something that is great, where we are a non-censorship platform. We reserve the right to kick you off. So if you come on the platform and it's ENA, we're going to revoke your membership.
Right.
We don't have moderators or censors. No big deal. if you're just going to come on there and say insulting things that are going to, trigger other people, but we're going to show uncensored videos. We're going to show uncensored footage. Everything that you see on X, you're going to be able to see on You've Got Bail. Because I believe that we have to fight censorship with all that we are. Censorship is right along the lines of Flock, right along the lines of data centers. Throughout the history of time, anybody who was the censor was never the good guy. So this idea that we can censor everybody and everything. And look, Matt, just to your point here, listen, I'm not sure. I haven't seen all your podcasts. I've seen a few of them, obviously, but I'm going to prison, bro. And so are my buddies who also speak out against the government. As soon as the detention centers are all built out with the next couple years, as soon as the data centers are done, the data centers are to power humanoid robots. They don't need a 60 square mile space in Utah so they can build big batteries. No, they need a 60-mile square space so they can do it just like Westworld, where they have warehouses full of robots where robots fix robots. And we'll be able to keep control of that for a little while, but I think it's going to go rogue. And we're going to see some serious deaths and murders. But that's what the whole point of the reason why these data centers are being built. Yeah. And if you talk about it, like I'm a thought leader, you're a thought leader, anybody who's a true thought, I have an intrinsic group of people, no matter what ScrewTube does to me, right? I have an intrinsic group of Team DLZ who are diehard for freedom, for liberty, for the Constitution actually meaning something. Yeah. And any thought leader is going to be arrested and put in prison. So if you literally speak out loud against the government, you're going to prison. And I don't know when they're going to drag me off to prison, but they will. Protesting is now illegal in America. We see this. If you're not watching Radical Leftist Thug on Instagram, this guy started off with nothing, no channel, no nothing, just a guy that went out to protest the Delaney Center. And now he's got tens of thousands of followers. I'm one of them. And the reason is because he's showing. He just went out there with a sign to protest, and they've attacked him. They've arrested him. They've arrested other people. You can't stand outside of a government building with a sign and say, fuck ICE. Why can't you? How come you can't? They've made protesting illegal. So certainly you as a thought leader, Matt, you're going to prison, especially because you speak out against our best friends east of the middle. What's wrong with you, bro? How could you speak out against them, Matt? They're the greatest. And then
they're our greatest friend. I don't know what I was thinking.
They have access to all the flock cameras. And what did we see in New York? We saw a hole that went down somewhere with mattresses with some sort of red material on them. And those are the
people were doing a play. It was theater. It was theater. It was performance art. Chili.
It wasn't real. Listen, for your viewers, listen, I sell products on my site. I sell Fifth Amendment plaque, Fifth Amendment trifold, and I sell Fifth Amendment cop cards that go in your wallet right by your driver's license. I highly suggest, listen, you're 20 or 30 bucks. I want it. I'm a capitalist. I make money from you buying my products, but your 20 or 30 bucks is not going to make or break me, but it'll make or break you if you don't know the steps of what to do when you get pulled over. So that's my pitch for that. And also what I can't sell you is get your license, registration, and proof of insurance put together. I took the time to make this fake one. I had to go to Kinko's and make a photocopy of my Brad Pitt driver's license and my Brad Pitt back. But I've used my photocopy of my license in 3 states. 3 states. One of those states you have to actually present your ID, and the cop never asked for it because he ran the license front and back. There was my insurance. He ran it. There was my registration. He ran it. They never asked me, give me your real ID. In 3 states, it's on camera. I can sell you a product. Thanks for buying my shit. Appreciate you, right? I can't have you get your shit together. I can't make it so you got to go, oh, I got to stop recording because I got to get my insurance out of here. You can't be discombobulated. If you get discombobulated, you're going to jail, Jack. If you don't follow the delete LAWZ method and you tell the cop where you're going, or you tell the cop has to search your car, whatever it may be, you could go to jail. So that's my pitch to your audience. Go to my website, Delete LAWZ, and get my products and use them. Thanks for supporting me as you do it, and I hope I'm supporting you back. But I can't sell you this. I can't sell you this.
Yeah, you guys got to go check it out. I had this is the Know Your Rights right on the Delete LAWZ website, DeleteLAWZ.com. You can get to all of the information. Get this information on your body, like Chili's saying, because you got to be ready to go. You got to be prepared. It's game time when we go out there. It's game time, and so what better than to have Chili get you back with this? The work
I gave Matt I gave you this, Matt.
I have it. It's great, man. It's a good reminder. You just can review it and you're ready to go out into battle. We're all ready to go out into battle every day now, more and more. So hey, thanks for coming by the Homeless Left, Chile. And I appreciate our relationship, and we've gone through so much here in crazy Hollywood town. Just, getting through the other side of COVID together and reuniting here and just doing our thing in different ways. So I appreciate you, man, and keep doing what you're doing, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me. To Matt's team, thank you.
All right. Take care. All right, guys. CHILLE DeCASTRO, delete LAWZ. Great conversation there. Go check out his YouTube and his Instagram. I mean, he's doing pretty well there, considering all of the censorship, and we deal with this shit all the time, guys. But he just keeps fighting back and will not go away. And that's the attitude we all have to have. Even if you wake up and you get that notice. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you guys, we're all friends. Jake GTV, he was on last week. He's had the censorship issue too. We're all LA based here, and we all deal with this crazy Hollywood nutty town where most people here decided they just wanted to comply with everything over the last 5-6 years and not ask any questions. It's pretty frustrating. But then the few of us that fought back, there's not too many of us here, but we're still here. We haven't moved out of the town. We're still here representing critical thinkers. So it's good to have CHILLE still fighting for the people. Okay, let's move on, guys. We've been having some tech issues on StreamYard again. So let me just go ahead and quickly just bring in Jay Scott in, and then we're going to do a couple little adjustments and get on to our next story here. Let's welcome back to the show, co-host Jay Scott. Hey, didn't need the volume. I had the same thing earlier, the volume.
What's going on, Matt? Can you hear me now?
Great. Yes. Got you, Jay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep. Great conversation, man. I caught the end over there, so I didn't catch like the whole thing, but I will say I definitely agree with him on how the definition of woke has kind of been twisted and turned, because a lot of people don't realize how it started versus what it morphed into. And what it originally meant was just be aware that the government is not your friend and is doing a whole bunch of evil shit behind your back. And, it started out honestly as a word, in the Black community. And then it kind of got, twisted and turned. And now a whole bunch of other things got added to it. And the right has a completely different definition of what that word means. So, I love his effort to try to, revert that word back to its original meaning. But it sounds like an important conversation. The only thing I'll say is, words have power, and I'm gonna speak it into existence. Matt, you are not going to jail. You're gonna speak out, you're gonna do the right thing, but you are not going to jail, and neither are we, and neither is delete LAWZ. He's past that. The world is going in the right direction, and it's going to wake up in time. So nobody needs to go to jail.
I mean, it's a good mantra to wake up to and say, I'm going to have a good day today. I'm not going to jail, or Ice Cube, right? Today was a good day. No one got murdered in the hood, right? But at some point, it's not going to be a good day. That's what he's saying. At some point, we have to be prepared that the knock's coming on our door. If we know, let's be clear here. If we know that our own viewers, and I'm talking about we know we have people watching all over the world. We got people in the UK, and we have our own viewers are getting arrested and having to, between our show. So I couldn't watch a show. I was in freaking jail for what? For protesting genocide. And we're seeing knocks on people's doors for social media posts. That's all they're doing. What are we? We're doing worse than social media posts. We're having conversations, Jay. We're asking questions. We're not just retweeting, right? We're not just, and so if people are getting arrested for retweeting or sharing, I'm just saying, he's just trying to keep it.
It's tough, man. It's tough, man. Even Max Blumenthal, I saw the other day he was coming back from, his trip to Iran. They seized all of his stuff. So, unfortunately, even traveling, is getting risky now. So, but, got to do what you got to do. At the end of the day, we have two options. Either, we could become slaves, lose all of our rights and watch the world deteriorate, or we could do our best to try to push back and to move the world in the right direction. And as someone, who does have a daughter now, I want to make sure I'm doing everything in my power to, to make sure the world is moving in the right direction. So, and of course, I still got, plenty of time here left too. So I don't want to see us slip into 1984, either. So yeah, but got multiple reasons to do it, but do the right thing, guys. Just don't be scared, hope for the best, but still do the right thing.
Yes, for sure. Let me just cover a couple of these super chats. Thanks, Deep Green. I so wish Ro keeps his same energy for Russia, Ukraine, and has a change of heart with his position. Yeah, right on, Deep Green.
He knew better. Sorry, really quick, just to add to what Deep Green said, if you go back and look at Ro Khanna's history, before Trump, when Trump was in office, the first time before Biden won the election, Ro Khanna was one of the people who introduced legislation to prevent our weapons from getting into the hands of the Azov battalion. And then as soon as Biden got into office, he forgot all about that. No more Azov battalion, no more Nazis to worry about. Just send the arms to Russia because Putin, send the arms to Ukraine because Putin bad. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe he'll wake up one morning and go, oh shit, I was wrong about sending money to any of these psychopath proxy nations, not real countries that aren't actually democracies. Damn it, I got it wrong again. That's what I hope he one day wakes up and goes, damn it, I was wrong again. 0 for 2 there, Ro Khanna. Okay, here's from Chris. I wish Russia was as based as we hope they'd be. As we're trying to figure out, we're going to get more into the Lindsey Graham story here, guys, because we touched on it earlier. We're just asking questions. I know a lot of people, and I didn't say this earlier. I'll let you know, Jay, that I did have a discussion on Truthwire yesterday. You guys should go back and watch it with Pasta and Fee. We were asking all the right questions. I think we determined, that there would at least from Fee's point of view, she was basically saying it's not likely that it was intentional, but I think we all agreed that most likely we might be talking about a wrong place, right time situation for Lindsey Graham, because those drone strikes. We'll talk more about it. But that was so I'm open to oopsie. But no one's accusing Russia in the Democratic Party, which is really interesting. Why wouldn't they? Don't they love Russiagate? Don't they love You
ever see the meme of those dogs barking at each other from behind the gate, and then as soon as you move the gate, the dogs stop barking? That's kind of like the Democratic Party, like how they act towards Russia, because I think now they are realizing that, it's probably not a good idea to mess with Russia. So
maybe that's what's changed, and that's what the world is seeing. We'll get to some of the other ones later on the super chats. So Jay, my issue here, and I think the reason we were just a few minutes behind. Thank you for being here, and we got a lot to get into, and we'll try to we'll push a few more minutes because I know we got some stuff to do here. So we'll have to do that. Even though we got Garland coming in later in the show, guys, we're doing a multi-stream that's coming up top of the next hour. But we're gonna get into some stuff right now. The only issue I have to get over here is, and if you don't mind, I just want to put up. Here's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna do a 1.5 minute little break because I noticed that StreamYard is kicking me out when I upload files today. For some reason, it just kicks me out. So I want to pre-upload them for the next segment. So I just need about a minute, and we'll be right back. And we're gonna do some more of the Lindsey Graham coverage, and we got some World War III watch. We got a bunch of stuff, guys. So just hold tight, and we'll be right back. I'm just gonna put a card up. We'll be right back, guys.
Go hydrate, guys. Are we all set now?
Yeah, hold on. Let me take myself out. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Sorry, man. Just give me one.
Big show coming up for you guys today, man. A lot of news to cover. But yeah, I think we'll have a very productive day today. So appreciate your patience. Don't worry. We're getting right into it. So yeah.
Okay. We're back. Man, this has been crazy. I was just having a conversation about StreamYard and how they doubled the price on us, and now they're less receptive to when we have complaints. It's backwards, man. It's effing backwards. Like they used to when they were like wanting your business, like, hey, let us know if anything we can do to make your experience better. And they would tell them, hey, you guys, you bumped us off. We had a big guest on and you bumped him off. Oh, we're sorry. We'll give you a whole month free. Guess what? They don't do that shit anymore. That's over with. They double the price. And now you say, hey, I'm trying to put files up and you're bumping me off the effing thing on a live show. They'll be like, yeah, that's not us. That's on your end. That's what they do. That's what they do now, man.
That's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess, trying to save money, man, being cheap, charging people more, like for a worse product, not a good combination.
Product.
So,
that's the issue. Okay. Well, I think we're good on this. So let's do some more Lindsey Graham here. I'm absolutely curious your take on this, Jay. I think we want to start off with this because everyone's talking about the Russia part of this because it's just weird. It's weird that this timeline that doesn't make sense. You got to, how do you get on this plane? Some say it's a 20 to 21 hour flight. How are you taking these pictures on a Friday, getting on a plane Saturday, getting home just in time to drop dead before midnight? Because it has to be before midnight if you're going to get that death certificate for July 11th, Saturday. So the whole thing is weird. But let's look. This is actually Larry Johnson is going to break down what he's hearing from his side. And this might at least get us to start asking the right questions here. Here we go.
Timeline. If everything's normal, he arrives normally in Kyiv because, that's how they do it. In fact, the United States pre-coordinates with Russia so they don't attack the trains. And Russia in the past has not attacked those trains. So he arrives in Kyiv. He meets with Zelensky. At some point, there's video footage of him going through this drone factory, and he's holding up one of the drones, smiling, because it's sort of shaped like a dildo. So that he may have had some other thoughts going through his mind with respect to the drone. Caught a hot missile up the tailpipe, huh? But then you think it's a weekend. There's no urgency to return to Washington. But let's say for whatever reason it was urgent, so that you had to get back. Unless you're being medically evacuated, they're not going to bring in a military aircraft to haul you out of there on a normal visit. And so it was either he went the normal route on the train back to Poland, which is at least 10-hour ride, maybe a little longer. Then you catch a plane, and the plane coming back to the United States is at least 10 hours. Bigger headwinds could make it 11. So that's the normal route. And I'm saying if he just did a normal, this is quick in and out, he still got home after the time that he supposedly died at home. So it's sort of tough to die at home when you're not at home. So we're not sure what happened. All I can tell you is the story that's been put out by the U.S. government is a lie. That much we know.
Yeah.
I know you don't like speculating, but what could be the possible situation? You mentioned one possibility is the drone factory was struck. What could be the other possibilities?
Well, maybe he did suffer a medical emergency. Maybe he did have a heart attack. That's possible.
But in Ukraine?
In Ukraine. Maybe he got poisoned.
a lot of what ifs, but I think he's dead on that the story we're being told doesn't make sense. I mean, just do the math, right? Get out a calculator. What he said, eight hours or 7 hours for the initial move transfer to Poland, and then you're talking about an 19 hour flight. What? Like, huh? What?
Math ain't mathin', like
Math
they
ain't
said, the math ain't mathin'. So, at the end of the day, right, if America acknowledged that Lindsey Graham was killed by Russia in Ukraine and America does not respond, essentially we look like punks, right? Like, at least that's what the government would take it like. So, like, everyone has to be scared of America for this to work. Lindsey Graham is, one of the biggest war hawks like out there. So how can other congressmen feel safe advocating for endless war and then feeling that they could go all over the world and travel without worrying if it's already been shown that, our enemies can actually take out our lawmakers and not face consequences for it? So the issue is, if we did acknowledge that Russia killed, Lindsey Graham, and we don't do it, and we do act on it, well, now we actually have a hot war with Russia. And I've been saying this on the show repeatedly, right? Our munition supplies are in a drastically low level. There's absolutely no way that we could actually, do a head-on battle with Russia at this point, unless we literally converted the entire economy and the entire country into simply a war machine. So that means end every other industry, get every single man to come join the army, and let's all focus on going to war against Russia. So, and that wouldn't happen because there would be mass protests, and, honestly, the government would probably be overthrown like before something like that actually happened. So they have no choice but to try to play it off. As far as other possibilities go, I think Larry Johnson broke it down pretty well. I mean, a lot of people who look into quote unquote conspiracy circles over here are aware that the CIA has the heart attack gun. They can shoot, like a little needle into you that dissolves, and there's really no trace, of this, weapon actually affecting you. You get a heart attack and die. A lot of people think that's how Bruce Lee, wound up dying. So if the CIA has it, what are the chances that the KGB or, like the Russians have something similar? I think, in my opinion, it's probably pretty high. But, just looking at the circumstances and the fact that he posted that picture, the fact that Russia has been repeatedly saying over the past few months that Western diplomats in Ukraine are not safe and we are going after decision-making centers, and the fact that we've assassinated several high people in the Russian government, and Ukraine has been doing it with our help, it just seems to me like it was probably the factory getting blown up. If I was a betting man, I'm not saying it's 100%. If you made me bet on something, I would bet that factory got blown up while he was still there. So
I mean, if he wasn't there when it got blown up, you think that somebody would mention that in thank God he escaped. It's too bad he happened to die suddenly. Maybe he died from the shock of almost blowing up. Trump slipped on an interview that they were trying to cover for earlier. We played it earlier in the show, but he did a slip where he says, oh yeah, the part of his body he used the word exploded. It's weird. When he was talking about like a medical problem. And he says, I go, that's a really weird choice of words. He also was really stuttering when it comes to trying to explain the phone call he had with him, and trying to say two things at once. One, that he was totally fine, but another that he wasn't doing well. And he's trying to have both be true at the same time. And then all of that calling us using the conspiracy theorist line, which is part of the punch down, which how is it a conspiracy theorist when we're talking about this enemy that, when you look at Graham's track record, he's the biggest threat to that quote unquote enemy. So that would be a legitimate lead. That would be an actual lead that we would look at, right? Like that's so we do have a greatest hits Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say also, I don't know if you saw, but they had like a whole bunch of FBI agents running in and out of his apartment, over the past few days, and they also released what's supposed to be this 911 call, from Lindsey Graham. But with the AI technology, like we have now, you can't really trust that, in my opinion. So
they called it a heroic, I think a heroic 911 call. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Come on. What is,
Yeah.
there's nothing. Yeah, come on. Well, just a reminder, guys, the greatest hits. We got 2022. Somebody in Russia should take Putin out. 2023, Russians are dying. Best money we've ever spent. 2023, again, Gaza should be flattened. 2024, this is Hiroshima and Nagasaki on steroids. If I were Israel, I'd do the same. Do whatever you have to do. Pull the Palestinian school system up by its roots and destroy it. So he's advocating for the death of hundreds of thousands of people, including specifically kids. If you add these all up, it's quite remarkable. 2025, we're killing all the right people. 2026, we will obliterate them, and that's over the Strait of Hormuz. And we're all shocked that so many people are mourning his death. That part is really disgusting. The mourning a monster doesn't humanize the monster; it dehumanizes the mourner. I agree with that.
I don't think there's too many people outside of Congress actually mourning him, to be honest with you. I think it's mostly just his colleagues, and because they know that if they go, a lot of them, their records may get looked at a little bit, like how Lindsey Graham's records have been. Now, the truth is about Lindsey Graham is that he's so extreme, and he talks the craziest out of anyone. So I don't think there are very many other congressmen that are gonna have that type of quotes when they're no longer here. But if you look at how they vote and what they've actually advocated for, they're all a bunch of Lindsey Grahams, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I was interested in this post. You sent this. Russia gave a warning back in May, just a few months ago. Can you tell us what we found here, Jay?
Yeah, so this has been widely reported. For the past few months, Russia has been saying Western diplomats and foreign residents need to leave Kiev. They've said that strikes are going to target military facilities and defense industries in Ukraine. Where did Lindsey Graham die? At a defense industry plant. Exactly what the Russians said they were going to do. So recent attacks have killed at least 4 people and wounded dozens. This was back, in May. And, then it just goes on to explain a little bit more. And this is in the context of, articles coming out in the Western media explicitly saying that our CIA have been helping the Ukrainians with targeting and identifying, targets to hit in Russia. They've been helping guide the missiles that are being fired into Russia, that have been damaging their oil refineries, that have been trying to, scare the people in Russia, into thinking they are going to be in an all-out war, against the rest. So the whole strategy of Ukraine at this point, they don't think that they can actually bring back the territories that they've lost to Russia. What they want to do is make life as scary as possible and as disruptive as possible to people within Russia to encourage a coup over there. They want to break up Russia and they want to destabilize Russia the same way how they want to do with Iran. So Russia has looked at all this and they've been warning people, hey, you guys, we're going to bring this to an end soon. We're going to go after these decision-making centers. If you guys value your safety, get your people out of there. And now, who knows, maybe I happen to believe that they probably did mean to kill him, because he is one of the biggest warmongers. And I'm open to the possibility it was wrong place, wrong time. I don't know for sure. But when I look at how crazy Lindsey Graham has talked, like you saw the quote just now, Russians are dying, best money we've ever spent.
He would be the number one target. I think the only thing I'm hesitant to say absolutely on purpose is just because Russia's kind of mantra of how they conduct themselves, they kind of have a long game, Putin has to it has to be really pushed before he allowed all the people in the Donbass to be, so many years before he was pushed, right? It was like you're talking about from 2014 really all the way to 2022. It was 8 years. It took 8 years to push Putin to the point of conducting the invasion of Ukraine. Point. So I'm saying, like, there's a history of really drawn out, thoughtful, playing the long game. Unless this was, this you could make the case this has been planned out, and this was a long game move and not an impulse. So I would be against thinking that Russia would do anything impulsive, but if it was planned, then maybe I'm open to it. Yeah.
I don't think it has to be that impulsive, right? Because at the end of the day, our mainstream news has been reporting how low our munitions supply is right now. We see that the war in Iran is ramping up right now. And definitely, I'm not saying this is the only reason, but probably one of the main reasons why Russia has been so hesitant to escalate is because, they don't want a bunch of missiles like raining down on their country, right? But like, we simply don't have the same ability to respond that we would have had, like when the coup happened back in 2014, or even when their special military operations started back in 2022. So we've depleted so much of our munitions that we're literally sitting ducks now. So maybe Lindsey Graham is a little bit of a warning shot coming from Russia, letting people know what's going to happen if we don't change course. So
And that's exactly what the point is that regardless of us trying to like speculate the exact situation behind it, it's the thing that no one in DC is saying, but yet they are all very nervous right now. This is the part that we're not hearing. Whatever their conversations are behind closed doors, we have visits being canceled. So that you would think it'd be the opposite. You think it'd be like, let's go over and check it out. The opposite's happening. Following the death of Senator Graham I love the sudden illness, Western politicians have postponed their upcoming planned trips to Ukraine, according to Politico. Really? Why would they do that? This has nothing to do with that. He just happened to get off of a plane in DC, and then he had his sudden medical issue. It has nothing to do with him holding that big dildo-shaped drone just hours before. It has nothing to do with that, right?
He was literally.
I love this. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I love this accompanying. We put this on our graphic because it was so. It's just, I don't know, whoever came up with this one. It's pretty fun because it's like, this is what we're all thinking, and we have to like. So I wonder what the conversations are behind closed doors right now. It's pretty remarkable. And remember, and look, the sanctions that oh shoot, I got it. Okay. The sanctions that we've talked about, that Lindsey Graham was talking about, his final speech before getting on the plane, more like before getting hit or whatever it was. He's talking about closing this deal, the sanction deal, and that's what you're saying, Jay. It's to push the Russian people into creating their own coup, which, by the way, never works. How many times are we 0-100 on like? Let's just sanction people and they'll do it on their own. They never do it on their own. The only coups that happen, we actually have to hand walk them through and bring our own Mossad agents and our own fucking, hitmen. Like it never happens on its own. But we still think, let's just make their lives uncomfortable enough so they'll have their own little January 6th or whatever you want to call it. And they'll. Right.
Yeah, it's really such an idiotic strategy with Russia in particular, right? Because what people don't realize is Putin is the moderate. Like people think, like the way you hear our politicians talk about, like Putin in the West, like you would think that Putin is far more aggressive than other people in Russia, and the people in Russia are upset that he's waging the war in Ukraine, and they want him to just let the West, I guess, like spread their quote unquote peace and prosperity everywhere. But the truth is, most of the pushback he gets in Russia is being too soft, like on us over here. So if Putin goes, like the next people in line are going to be far more aggressive, like towards us. So especially unless we change course. So it's such an idiotic like strategy to take, to demonize Putin so much and pretend that he's the worst of the worst. Like he's like, no lie, he's probably one of the best friends we have like in Russia right now. So
yeah. All right, well, let's look at this part of it. We have this is, we'll just top it off with this one because I thought this was a funny post where we're comparing the Ayatollah was evil, but Lindsey Graham was a hero. Really? I don't know if the numbers line up on this because in front of his house, how many roses did we get? One freaking flower, one freaking rose. Check this out, guys. I gotta have to turn the volume on this copyrighted music, but let me just. No, stop. I don't want to get it. Okay, there we go. There it is. And you compare this to, we got word that a minimum of 10 million people had shown up to that incredible funeral for the supreme leader that we murdered, and the granddaughters and the other, and there was a minimum of 10 million. We heard of upwards of 40 or 50 million. Either way you look at it, it's absolutely insane. Let's see that shot again. This is the hero, Lindsey Graham. This is who showed up for him. And I think you're right, Jay. I think it's only the politicians that are tweeting out these sentimental, like we didn't agree on too much, but the stuff we agreed on, he was right on, and I'm gonna miss him, and yada la. I mean, it's just, and even Cory Booker said, I'm just happy that he's meeting up with his old friend now, John McCain. And we're like, yeah, in hell, you son of a bitch. Like, what are you talking? Like, why would he say that? It's fucking hilarious.
In all fairness, Matt, it's probably not only the politicians. There are also a few defense contractors, who I'm sure are pretty sad that he's no longer around too. So, of course, all the people that he was funneling money to might be slightly sad, for an hour or two, and then they'll just go on to their other puppets. But yeah, if you look at it's literally one of the most attended funerals like in history, right? At least of like
they're saying the number one funeral attended in history, the number one. Versus one flower.
And like at the end of the day, just remember, we did that. Like, we are the reason that he's dead. And like it isn't reported that much in the West, and a lot of people don't even realize it, but we literally killed the man's granddaughter, his daughter, and like half of his family, like when we took him out, right? And like, I guess people can just kind of breeze past it when they hear it. But if you just imagine what the reaction would be if like Iran did that at Mar-a-Lago and like wiped out Trump along with half of his family, even people who don't like Trump in America would say, hey, that's wrong, guys. Like, maybe that's not the best way, to get revenge and all that. So it's such an evil thing that we did. So
yeah. All right, well, that's that. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. I think we're pretty set up. So what I might have to do during it is I have to take myself out and come back in during the clip, so we'll keep things moving because I had to set up some more stuff, but I don't want to take another break. I want to move on here, but we're going to piggyback that story on the World War III front, because you can rest assured, guys, that we're not holding back. Just because a psychotic warmonger is dead doesn't mean we're not amping up the warmongering, in respect to the fallen warmonger. So we're going to get to that. Let's go ahead and start this one up, guys. Here we go. It's World War III watch. Let's just face it, it's already started. And the good news that we heard, obviously, that one of the biggest warmongers of all time is no longer on this earth. You think that's a good thing? It is a good thing. We celebrate that. It's out of principle, basic principle in humanity. Good news, right? However, it seems that the pushing of policy, the pushing of complete psychopathic taking over, annihilating countries, and we're not just talking about Palestine. We're not just talking about Iran. Lebanon. We're also talking about Latin American countries. We're talking about Cuba. We're talking about Venezuela. These are the countries that have been championed by this dead senator. And make no mistake, Trump has no other intention other than to continue the legacy of his fallen psychopathic friend. And he tells us this because this is exactly what he's actually pushing right now. Here's Trump telling us that the next policy is going to be on behalf of Lindsey Graham. Oh, how nice of him.
Sanctions bill signed within the next week or two, and will you sign it?
Well, I know that Lindsey wanted it very badly. I think they may be adding Iran to it. They're going to add Iran, which is a very big thing. If they did that, they may add Hezbollah too. Just put them if you do business with Hezbollah. So we're looking at that, but they're seriously thinking, and this is in honor of Lindsey. This was his thing. He wanted this more than any other thing. You know how he felt. And there's a good chance that it gets done, but they'd like to add Iran, and they'd like to add Hezbollah to it. That's what I'm hearing. So.
And if that means secondary sanctions on China, India,
well, we'll have to look. That hasn't been discussed.
Jay, I mean, so the sanctions, we were talking about this earlier on the show, but like this is exactly what Lindsey Graham was in Kyiv in the first place to push, right? The policy to put more pressure on Russia. He was excited to come back and screw the Russian people over, not just with the sanctions, but with the drones that he was holding. So it was like, we're going to send drones. We're going to kill Russian civilians. And so it sounds like Trump is like, no, now we have to do it for Lindsey. This seems to me like, no, we're not one more warmonger less. We're now amplifying the guy's policies after life because it's in respect to him, because we have to keep taking out country after country. Is that what I'm hearing here?
Well, Lindsey was just a puppet, right? And, he was just speaking on behalf of the establishment. So now that Lindsey is gone, Trump is just reassuring the rest of the establishment that had their hands up, Lindsey Graham's ass, making him speak. He's just reassuring the rest of them that, don't worry, I'm not changing course. I don't need Lindsey Graham out here being the biggest champion of these insane policies. I'll go ahead and continue them without Lindsey here. To take the fall for it. So that's what Trump is doing. He's sending the signals, to the big money makers, right? Or the big money donors that, don't worry, still the same course. But, what people, I guess, don't understand is that since we've put all of these sanctions on Russia, it's actually helped Russia. And that may sound counterintuitive, right? But what it forced Russia to do was to take all of the money that its richer, its business class had invested abroad, and to bring that money home and then invest it specifically in Russia. So, and all of the foreign money that was invested in Russia from America and Europe has been pulled back. So what's resulted is that they now have much greater ownership in all of their own industries, and their industries have actually advanced and their growth has picked up as they've waged this war in Ukraine. So they've gotten stronger militarily, their economy has gotten better, and Putin is still just as popular as he was at the beginning of the war. So literally nothing is going right. And rather than reassess the strategy that these people have taken, they're just pretending that their strategy is working. If you hear people actually talk about the Russian economy, in the mainstream media, you would think the country's about to crumble. They're actually doing better now than they were before this military operation started, because we forced them to figure out how to stand up on their own 2 feet and, invest in their own country instead of, investing abroad. So it's benefited them. This whole thing has backfired in their face, and they can't figure out what else to do other than continue to double down. So I'm not surprised Trump is saying that, because, Lindsey Graham, again, he doesn't have any original thoughts of his own. This is just him speaking what the donors wanted him to say. So,
yeah. So Trump's going to donate the next drone bomb, the next dildo-shaped drone bomb to Lindsey. Kiss it right on the head right before it goes off. And
there you go. There you go.
But here's what else he's saying right out loud. He's saying that the thing that we're doing in Iran, which is just constant bombing, it's all good, guys. It's okay if it might feel like the new normal, but hey, we've done this shit before. Remember Vietnam? It just became just everyday normal to just bomb the crap out of another country for no good reason, just over and over and over. Where's Henry Kissinger when you need him? That was the original. By the way, that's the original Lindsey Graham, was the Kissinger, just like kill them with bombs, and that would consider as diplomacy, which is not, by the way. Okay, here he is. Yeah, totally the new normal now.
It's still possible. You think they'll return to that?
Yeah, I think a deal is possible. Sure, I do.
But Mr. President, you noted the United States is bombing Iran again. I mean, you've been bombing Iran for months now. Is this just the new normal for the American people?
Well, you know, we're in Vietnam for 19 years. We're here for 4 months. So I think we've done a lot. We've knocked out their Navy in a period of 1 month. We knocked out their Air Force. Their Air Force is non-existent. We knocked out most of their missiles, most of their drones. We knocked out their drone manufacturing capability, about 92%. Their missile capability for manufacturing, we knocked out 89%. And they have a little capability, but they don't have any capability for us. This is almost a military skirmish. Now, with all of that being said, you have to get people that want to make something. We had a deal with them 2 days ago, and then they said, oh, we can't make that deal. We have to negotiate it further. And this is what they've done for 47 years. The difference is nobody negotiated like I do.
Well, there you have it.
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's amazing that he would say that, because literally the majority of people admit now that Vietnam was a mistake. So they're asking him, hey, Mr. President, is another endless war what you're going to do? And he's like, well, yeah, look how long Vietnam lasted. So, you know, like, at least we're not there yet. So, you know, he's just acknowledging that the same unpopular thing he told his supporters he wasn't going to do is exactly what he's doing. He's just literally come out and he's saying the quiet part out loud now. And like, I just don't even know how they expect to be able to do this with the amount of munitions that we have left, because the stockpiles have run so low. So this is why I tell people, listen, at this point, we really do have to be on the lookout for a major false flag, because I do believe they're going to try to, you know, convert more of our economy into a war economy at some point. And the only way you can manufacture consent for that is to scare the shit out of people. So,
yeah, I'm glad you brought up that the thing that the other reporters in the room aren't going to follow up on that question. They're not going to follow up on the Vietnam was bad. That's bad. 19 years. I mean, that's not. So this is a strategy he's using here to say we've done it before, so it's all good. No, guys, this is why we have to keep reminding people that this is not about Trump is uniquely evil. This is, yes, we've done this shit before. That's the point. We are not going to behave this way anymore. When Lindsey Graham used to compare the way we used the atomic bomb and murdered however many Japanese people, and looked at that as some sort of like, well, we've done it before. No, we should never have. What the F were we doing? What Hiroshima? Yeah. What the F were we doing? So do not let them use the past as leverage to justify current atrocities. That's not how we don't do that. So yeah. that's my. You're right about the. I mean, Vietnam is open and shut. It was bullshit. Obviously, the entire thing.
Of course. Of course. I mean, it's like a guy who cheated on his girlfriend in the past and got caught is cheating again, and he's like, oh well, I didn't have sex this time. It was just had last time. You know, I had full blown sex and all that. Like what? Like nah, man. That's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to learn from the past and not repeat the same mistake over and over again. And Trump doesn't get it. So
yeah. I have this clip. I hope I got the right clip here. This is Lula in Brazil, who's basically the last surviving non-Zionist entity in South America right now, who's saying that the U.S. is lying, obviously lying about nuclear weapons, just like we lied about Iraq. Let me see if I got the right one up here. Here we go.
And to introduce that, just so people are aware, and Trump has since walked this back, but Trump had proposed, and that was earlier today, he just walked this back. But as of yesterday and maybe the day before, Trump was saying, oh, well, if Iran wants to charge tolls on the Strait of Hormuz, I'm going to charge tolls on the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, it's not going to be a set amount like what Iran was proposing. I'm going to charge a 20% toll on whatever is moving through there, which would amount to, in most cases, a much higher toll than what Iran was proposing. So Trump was saying, you know, any ship that passes through the Strait of Hormuz, not only will they have to pay Iran, they'll also have to pay America even more than they paid Iran, unless Iran rolls back their policy. So that's what Trump was trying to do. And then Lula had responded, you know, to Trump, you know, in this next clip that you're pulling up right now.
Okay. It might knock me off, but you're gonna have to yeah, because it's obviously subtitled here. So let's let me grab it here, and we'll play it out. Here we go.
Yeah, and I'll read out the subtitles for you guys. So today there's a tweet from President Trump. A tweet saying he'll unblock the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, that is a channel between Iran and the wider world. Iran won't let oil tankers pass through it right now. He tweeted, Louis Mercante, saying that he'll unblock it, but for each ship he unblocks, each ship he frees, the owner has to pay him 20%. That used to be called piracy, didn't it? That used to be called piracy. So a major power like the United States, which I think fought against piracy for a long time, is now turning into a pirate. It wasn't Brazil that started the war with Iran, was it? Did Brazil fire any shots? No. Did Brazil kill anyone? No. He's the one who started this war. We cannot accept the U.S. provoking a war by claiming Iran wanted to build a nuclear weapon. What I can say is that's a lie, because I was in Iran in 2010 there with Celso, with Erdogan alongside the president of Turkey, signing a document stating Iran would not produce nuclear weapons.
Wow.
It would enrich uranium for scientific purposes like Brazil.
Wow.
Just as they invented the claim that Saddam Hussein had chemical weapons and went to destroy Iraq, where are the chemical weapons? That was 2004. Where are the chemical weapons? It's been 22 years. Now, Iran had no nuclear weapons, no capability to build them, and no intention either. And then he started the war. And, you know, what people don't realize is the Democrats kind of helped Lula get back into the position he's in today, because the last president of Brazil, Bolsonaro, had him in jail. And while Biden was in office, he applied a lot of diplomatic pressure to Brazil to kind of ease up on Lula a little bit, and now he's back in power. So I'm interested to see, you know, like how this plays out, because, you know, if there's one thing we know, it's that the Democrats are at least as hawkish like on Iran as Trump is. So, you know, I'm interested to see what their reaction is going to be, you know, once they do more than likely take back power at the end of this year with the election. So, but yeah, this is significant because Brazil doesn't usually criticize America as openly as this and as boldly as this, because, they're in our hemisphere and they don't really have too much of an army anyway. So they really couldn't defend themselves too well if we tried to attack them. So it is interesting that he's speaking out that boldly against what America is doing.
Yeah. And now it looks like, according to Lavrov, Russia will no longer trust Western guarantees regarding a negotiated settlement in Ukraine. Lavrov says negotiations are pointless. Let's have you read this one next.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We shared our current state of affairs surrounding Ukraine.
I'll start that over. That's okay. Yeah. Here we go.
Ukraine, including the actions of the West, which, while feigning a readiness for negotiations, has now, as announced by the Europeans, shifted to open ultimatums against the Russian Federation. The West hypocritically continues to call for a negotiated settlement. Negotiated settlements, and under Western guarantees no less, were achieved in 2014, 2015, and 2019. In all of these instances, the Westerners' guarantees were violated by none other than themselves. They proved to be false. Likewise, a negotiated settlement was reached between Russia and Ukraine in 2022. It was openly and publicly undermined by that very same West. We will no longer take the West at its word that it desires negotiated settlements. This reservoir of goodwill and hope has been completely exhausted. Our president clearly reaffirmed that we will continue to achieve the goals that were set back in June 2024 during his address at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia.
Yeah, so, you know, at the end of the day, nobody should be surprised by what we saw Lavrov announce over there, because it was clear, actually, when you listen to the former leader of Germany, which was the chancellor at the time, Angela Merkel. She came out after the Minsk II agreements had, you know, already failed, and she pointed out that they never even intended to stick to their end of the agreement. And the whole point of signing the agreement was to buy time, because they couldn't actively arm Ukraine as Ukraine was at war with Russia. So they only signed the agreement so they could continue to funnel more weapons into Ukraine. So we've not only have we broken every agreement we've made with them, we've also openly admitted that we never intended on keeping the agreement. So we make it easy for them to assume that we are not negotiating in good faith. And, you know, they want to believe it because everyone could make so much more money, and the quality of life in each of our countries could be so much better if we just worked with Russia and with other parts of the world, right? So,
whoa, what a crazy idea.
Yeah, so to them, they're like, well, why wouldn't the Americans want to do business with us? Because it can be so mutually beneficial for both sides. They're like, this makes sense. And I guess, you know, what they're now finally starting to realize is that the people who are running our countries aren't actually interested in what makes sense and what would benefit the majority of the countries. The only thing they care about is centralizing power. And to be honest, actually impoverishing large parts of the American population could benefit them in certain ways, because it makes us more vulnerable to accepting, you know, their new centralized digital IDs, along with the programmable money that has to be spent in certain ways. So not to get too off track, but, you know, they have assumed that we are logical actors who are going to act in the best interest of our population. And now they're saying they can no longer have that assumption. And as you'll see from the next clip, they're not the only ones who feel that way.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up with Professor Morandi, who's been telling it like it is the whole way. Don't mind if I pop out of this one, but I'm just going to bring up the shared screen again. But yeah, he's going to tell us that the negotiations at this point are just 100% just completely pointless. Here we go.
Iran is not going to negotiate. The negotiations for Iran are open. And whenever the Americans decide to implement their side of the deal, then we can start talking. Otherwise, Iran is just going to pursue its own policies. The chances for war exist. It would be insane for the Americans to go down that path because it would wreck the global U.S. economy. But, you know, you have the Zionist lobby, the Israeli regime, you have Trump's ego. Iran is not going to negotiate. The negotiations for Iran are open. And
that's it. There you go. So what happens next, Jay? Let's just top it off. I mean, it's just speculation at this point, but I feel like we're hitting a wall that is, this is an unsustainable timeline that whatever timeline we're on right now, we're hitting a wall of unsustainability.
You see, here's the thing, right? It's not in the interest of Russia or Iran to anger the American people and to do something that would piss off Americans, right? But if you are the ruling class and your ultimate goal is to topple Iran and or Russia, then you have to get the American people hungry for war. So, you know, my opinion is at some point, we're probably going to see some type of false flag attack that is blamed on either Iran or Russia that, you know, you cannot question. Whatever happens, you're not supposed to question it. Whoever the American government said did it, that's who did it. And it'll either be the CIA or Mossad who actually do whatever terrible thing happens, and that'll be used to justify a large scale, you know, war against them. Because again, all you have to do is go back and listen to one of the most influential people in the country, Alex Karp. Back in 2024, he was predicting that we would be in a 3-front war against Russia, Iran, and China. So now it's pretty much clear that Russia is already happening via proxy. Iran is happening directly. Our proxy is on its last legs. So soon we're going to have to decide whether or not we just let it die or we directly get involved. And, you know, with China, I guess it's a lot stickier of a situation because they control key parts of our supply chain. So I'll be honest with you, I would be lying if I could explain to you how they plan on doing this, because we can't even produce the rare earth minerals that are needed for our weapon systems. We depend on China to go to war against China. So, like, I don't know how this is going to work, but it just seems to be exactly what they're marching towards, right? Because, yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe the war with China will never happen and will run out of steam, you know, against Iran and Russia. But my opinion is we're definitely going to be in a full-scale war against Iran at some point very soon. Yeah. So who knows if that takes all of our resources and we can't even really make it to Russia and they let that die out. But I think full-scale war against Iran will be coming. So,
all right. Well, that's World War III. Watch. Let's move on to this. The one that we've been on this one, I think the whole way, as long as we've known about it. We know this is a big deal. What we're talking about is the NDAA, which is being voted on right now. It's something that it changes the entire landscape. We're talking about the Israel and U.S. militaries merging together. We mean by all aspects, right, of sharing intel, spy, you know, abilities. But I think it's the financials are probably the scariest part, because we're talking about basically combining the bank account of a multi-trillion-dollar budget of the Pentagon, all having access to 2 different countries at any time they want. Yes, Jay.
Speaking of merger, that's kind of a slight misnomer for what's happening, because essentially we're being forced to share all of our intelligence and resources with Israel but Israel is not being forced to share all of their intelligence and resources with us. So they can see and access whatever they want on our side, but we cannot do that to them too. So perhaps a better way to frame it would be kind of like a subjugation, like of America directly to its puppet, like Israel. So I don't know, but what I would say is the people who run both countries are not loyal to either one, and right now they're shifting the power of their American proxy to their Israeli proxy. But in this deal, we are being subjugated to Israel. If you read,
you know, that's a great point, Jay, that like you would think, hey, you want me to vote yes on this? Then hey, you think you could give us your little nuclear weapon breakdown? You think you can give us a little bit of your Mossad history of all this shit you've left us? I mean, that if you could do that and we could go in this equally, then and even that would be bad. That would be awful. But this is much worse. So I'm glad you pointed that part out. This is not an actual merging that's equal. It's one capturing the other. It's a literally like a virus coming in and sucking out our whatever we had left of a bank account, which is zero. By the way, it's negative, but the budget is from other loans, right? So we have this multi-trillion-dollar Pentagon budget that Israel, after this goes through, Israel will have full access to that money and therefore never has to lobby for that money anymore. And on top of that, politicians here can pretend that they now all of a sudden are standing up to Israel and we're not giving them any more money because we don't need to, because we're married and we share the same bank account now. And now husband doesn't have to lend to a wife because they're sharing the bank account. It's not lending anymore, is it? When the wife has the credit
need to ask for permission. She got the bank card. She could just go swipe whenever she wants.
Yeah, you're not lending any. It's not lending anymore. If you present it as lending, it'd be weird. Wait, you lend it? What? Your wife's got the credit card, so you guys are sharing it. That's what you signed up for. So
think about it, right? Okay. And think about it, right? Just a couple months ago, we heard Laura Loomer make the rounds saying, "Oh yeah, we need to stop giving aid to Israel so Israel won't need to be held back by the rules that come along with the aid." So what she didn't mention was the fact that they'll end the aid, but they're going to have control of the U.S. military to use as they please. So when this went through, all of those talking points just made a lot more sense, because that is something Laura Loomer was going around saying a few months ago. So,
well, here's Netanyahu telling us right to our faces on Fox News that Americans have no choice. This is being forced on you for your own good, as it always is.
Will that drawing down of foreign aid from the United States to Israel be compensated by the proposal to have a merging of some sort between our Pentagon and your military?
Yeah, I'm calling it from aid to partnership. So we take away the money that is given to Israel, which is one part, but the other part is we co-invest in equal measures in the new technologies that are needed to give our military and your military the advantage. So there are some unbelievable projects. So we invest jointly and take the fruits equally. You move from aid to partnership, and I think that represents what Israel is. And remember, the other thing is that we share with America unbelievable intelligence to save American life. General Keegan has said that when he was working in American intelligence, what Israel was giving the United States was worth, he said, 5 CIAs. Now, I'm not trying to be mathematically exact, but Israel's contributions to America's defense are important. Our technology is incredible. And since yours is incredible too, and you're the great champion of liberty and free markets, I think the meshing of our two great countries of talent would strengthen America's position, competitive position, both in the economic marketplace and in the military battlefield in many important ways. So that's the idea. The idea is to take away aid, one-sided aid, and move it into bilateral investments for common benefit.
It certainly.
And what he left out in that explanation is exactly what I said. He claims that they give us this great intelligence, like the intelligence that told us bombing Iran would be easy and we could easily overthrow their government. They give us great intelligence like that, but they choose what they're able to give us. They can selectively share whatever it is they want, and they can present it however they want. Whereas Israel is going to have real-time access to everything we know and to everything our military is doing, so they don't have to see selectively whatever we want them to see. They'll have real-time access to all of our books. So
man, this is really bad. And I got to tell you, Jay, like, I know there's a lot of people in our arena here that aren't as worried about this. We're hearing people say, they've already captured us. We're already doing everything they want. What's the damn difference? And I would say this, I make a comparison to marriage, and I say, you're already in a dysfunctional relationship, you might as well get married. What? You're already in an abusive relationship, you might as well sign a contract? Well, no, you can always get out of it later. What? So you're okay with that? You're okay signing a contract with a psychopath who's already pretending to be in a contract with you and breaking every rule known to man to pretend that they have some sort of a deal with you. And now you're going to make it official. And you're saying that's not a problem because you could always get a divorce later? No. Once you invite the vampire in the house, well, they were evil anyway, and they were going to do evil stuff. No, you have to invite them in. Sign on the dot. So that's what everyone's signing up for right now. And obviously the only people, and I don't say obvious, I mean, people have to understand there's not many people speaking out against this. You got people who are no longer working for this administration or having their job. You got obviously Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? You got people on the outside saying this is bullshit, like Tucker. Joe Kent. Well, let me show you Joe Kent. Joe Kent is saying this. It's this week, guys. This is happening right now. This week, the Senate is voting to merge the military most sensitive and secretive capabilities with Israel. The merger is buried within the massive NDAA, and it's not buried. They're talking about this, Joe. It's not like we had to dig for it. They're saying, oh yeah, this makes sense. They're not hoping. So that he's got this wrong. They're not hoping we won't notice. We did notice, and no one gives a shit except Thomas Massie. He's the only one on the inside that's doing anything about this. Merging our military with a foreign country is a treasonous betrayal of our sovereignty. Call your senators. So this is the action. And you guys can do this right now. You can call them to vote no until, so you say that section 219, it used to be 225, it's now 219. Demand that it's taken out. You tell them we will never support merging our military with a foreign nation. Here's the switchboard number. Here's a better visual of it. This has been going around. You can see the number. Screenshot this shit right now. Make a call. This vote is happening right now. And the fact that, and you obviously people on the outside pushing against this, which is great, but from the inside, from a position of power, Thomas Massie is the only one. And I think Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie are the only two that have a problem with this. And to understand that they're the only two, we have a sick and twisted problem with our effing elected officials if they think this is okay. Signing on the dotted line. You can't come back from that. I don't care what everyone, I know there's people that, oh no, we'll get out of it later. No, we won't. This is totally legit now. They can write checks anytime they want. And before you, let me piggyback that. One more clip from Netanyahu. Let's put a bow on this. Here's Netanyahu telling us that Lindsey Graham, his best friend, oh my God, Lindsey Graham he said, Bibi, I want to keep giving you money forever and ever and ever. And Bibi says, no, Lindsey, you don't have to give us any money. We can do it on our own now. But we appreciate the sentiment. Ha, ha, ha. Of course you can do it on your own. Here he is. Listen to this. Listen to how diabolical this is. We don't need your money anymore. We got the company credit card, you son of a bitch.
We have time now we've come of age and we're able to draw them down to zero. But he would argue with me. He would say, no, for ballistic missile defense, that's important for you. It's important for America. Whatever is the number, it has to be bigger. And I said, Lindsey, we can do with a smaller number. He said, no, you can't. And then he would go to the Senate and actually, can you imagine this? He would outbid the Prime Minister of Israel. He said, I'm not getting a single vote in South Carolina for that because, you know, there are very few Jews in South Carolina. And the people, yes, they support Israel, my constituency, but I support Israel. And I think you need more. And I'm going to fight for this. This is who Lindsey Graham was. I think
that sick son of a bitch, man, I am telling you, if people don't see the wordplay, the language play, we talk about language, this is going to be a problem. This is just the first example of it. But make no mistake, they're going to keep doing this. And it's not just Netanyahu. They're all going to do it. They're going to say, we're not going to give more money to Israel. They got this now. They got this.
Yeah.
What? They have our company credit card, our Pentagon credit card. Are you with a max out of $2 trillion? $3 trillion, $4 trillion maxed out credit card with plenty of room to charge? What?
Yeah. Are you familiar with the theory of like accelerationalism? You heard of that before?
Accelerationalism. No, explain.
That's people who want things to get so bad that you can't ignore it anymore. And then at that point, that's when we finally fix it. Because if things don't get that bad, then people will just kind of go on about like with their lives, right? And to be honest with you, I'm starting to feel like that's kind of how there will eventually be a rug pull with Israel. And what I think is going to happen is we will get dragged, into this full-blown war against Iran. And it does kind of, unless whatever false flag event it is, they pull fully sells people that it was not our CIA and the Mossad that did it. If people actually believe, if people don't believe whatever story it is they tell us, then this will probably ultimately lead, to us finally pulling the plug on them. But until that point, they will have another level of control, like over our military. And, that's why I personally believe the war with Iran at this point is unavoidable. And assuming that happens, Israel is never going to get to Turkey. Like we'll get bogged down. All of our money will be gone and our resources will be done trying to fight Iran. And they won't be able to go and attack Turkey next, like they keep thinking they're going to do. But I think, the signing of this agreement is an argument in favor of that theory of accelerationalism. So,
and how dare anybody only get upset after it's too late about any of these issues? You guys know everything we've been covering, from the AI data centers and the flock stuff to whatever, the digital ID, surveillance state, any of these Israel first policies. I mean, any of the COVID stuff, like to wait so long intentionally because it's not cool to do it now or for whatever reason. That's just total bullshit. Grow a pair and say something now. Yeah. But we see a pattern. Like you're right, Jay. This pattern of now it's okay to say the G word. Oh, really? Did Bernie finally use the G word? Did he? Well, it's not going to do anything now. It would have maybe done something, when your good friend Joe Biden was blowing up schools and churches and medical facilities in Palestine. It would have maybe done some good if you said it then. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't effing matter. But principle. Come on, guys. We always talk about principle on this show. Why are you waiting? And so I'm not going to wait on this one, Jay. I'm not effing waiting. So let's piggyback one more part of this. I don't want to get to the last segment because that's a big one. I want to get to that. I know we're running late on this, but the last part of this puzzle is the takeover of the police as well. Very important people understand that it's not just the Pentagon budget and the credit card. We talked about a lot of that earlier just now, but we're talking about a total military state using our police force, which has been being trained by the IDF, by Israel, not just starting now. It's been happening for many years. We played this clip earlier, but I'm going to play it again for those who missed it. This is CIA officer John Kiriakou telling us the activity that's happening in the U.S. Police Department from Atlanta, which is they're calling Cop City right now, L.A., Chicago, New Orleans, New York, everywhere. they have been infiltrated by this Zionist takeover of Israeli military operations in a police state, which is why we have this problem right now. Here we go.
That most mainstream outlets don't talk about is that the Israelis are already in the United States training local police departments. We know, for example, that the Israelis are training the Atlanta police, that this area now called Cop City is the site of Israeli police and Israeli IDF training our own police. I don't want the Israelis training American police departments. The Israelis have no respect for human rights or civil rights or civil liberties.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? If there's going to be mass protests, like against a war with Iran, then our police need to be ruthless, like to crack down on those protests, right? Otherwise, the protests could be successful. So they're going to need to be ruthless. They're going to need to scare the shit out of people so people don't want to go outside and, just accept whatever happens. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say, guys, this, I know people are just noticing now, and great. I'm glad people are picking up on this. That clip has actually gone viral on Twitter, and people are going, "Oh shit, they're taking over our police." They've been doing this for many, many years in the major cities. And I just want to make sure people know that it's not just the physical training, and we know how it works, right? Cops are placed in jurisdictions that they don't live in on purpose because they're patrolling an enemy territory. It's not their own neighborhood. Their job isn't to serve and protect their own neighborhood. Their job is to police enemy territory, have their trigger finger ready when the bad guy comes out of the bushes. That's been our police training. That comes directly from Israel. But the part about the psychological training, we saw this with ICE. This is obviously ICE. We tracked this shit from the second they got put on the loose in Minneapolis. They're getting Israel IDF training. How everybody is the enemy, wearing masks, not having to identify yourself. But the psychological training comes from the ADL. I'm putting this clip up here right now. People, this is a long one. We played this one. This is Jonathan Greenblatt bragging about how he's patrolling social media and he's going after anybody challenging Israel online. That's the majority of the clip. I've seen this shared out. A lot of people are missing the end of the clip. I'm going to fast forward to the end, because he casually says, this is like a 2-minute speech where he's literally bragging about that he's coming after you and me, Jay, because we're not allowed to talk about Israel. At the very end, he's going to say something very revealing about the police and how the ADL is a bigger training mechanism than anyone else. And what they do is they train psychological training. And so he's saying, in this clip, he's basically saying that he has 20,000 officers every year getting this psychological training by the ADL, which puts them in the mindset to unload on all of us if we're not doing Israel first, Israel protection at all times. Here it is.
Largest trainer of law enforcement in America.
Wait, here we go.
We're monitoring political Islamists and Christian nationalists, all of them. And then we train. We're the largest trainer of law enforcement in America, extremism and hate. We train 20,000 officers every year.
What are you training them? What is the ADL training 20,000 police officers to do every year?
You know what they're training them to do? To make sure every police officer understands that criticizing the government of Israel is the same thing as anti-Semitism. If you have a problem with the genocide that the government of Israel is doing, then that means you hate all Jews and you're a danger to society and you're a terrorist. That's what the ADL is telling all of our police officers across the country right now.
Remember, guys, you can do something about this right now. Make this call right now. Demand that they take this part of the bill out right now. And it's section 219. Get rid of it right now. Call your senators and say, we refuse to align our Pentagon budget and our military operations and our police, which is it's not listed in the police part, but it's all connected. Tell them we will not allow this to go through, because Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna are going to need some help because they don't have any coming from the inside. That's for sure.
Agreed.
Okay. Do we have time? Can we squeeze in we know what it's not? Do you have time?
I'm done. I'm good. Yeah.
because we're going to be doing a multi-stream crossover with Garland at the top of the hour. And I want to get to some guys, some more super chats before that. We did have a loudest voice of the week, but we might have to cut that. I really want to do this story with you, Jay. So let's get right to this. This is, yeah, we need to do this one. Okay, here we go, guys. It's time for, I think this is one of our more favorite segments we have. People requesting we know what it's not. Let's do it. Okay, here we go.
Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person.
But this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
We had to really move at the speed of science.
We're moving at the speed of science. Doctors are baffled. They don't know what the hell's going on, but rest assured we'll be back with the answers for you why all your loved ones are dropping dead with all the medical problems that we know nothing about because none of us are experts. We shouldn't even be talking about this. We should be waiting patiently for them to come back and tell us what happened. But in the meantime, rest assured, we know what it's not. This just happened. Australia, let me tell you guys, Australia is having a problem. They're having a problem. It's the big C word. And it's the not the single smaller C word. It's the larger C word. And we guys know the one that we can't really say when it comes to talking about vaccines and COVID and stuff. That's a whole separate conversation, but this is what's going on in Australia. Aussie News has dropped shocking figures on exploding cancer rates in young people. Ovarian cancer up 30%, breast cancer up 50%, bowel cancer up 71%, prostate, pancreatic, and liver cancers are also surging. They're going to blame everything except the obvious. Wake up. Here's the report.
Young Australians are being diagnosed with cancers once thought to affect mostly older people. Doctors say environmental factors may be to blame, as one woman bravely shares her story, hoping to spark change.
This is what chemotherapy looks like, one of the most powerful treatments to kill cancer, being given here to a 35-year-old woman.
Jessica, are you scared right now? Terrified. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, to battle this cancer.
A rare form of ovarian cancer, but the process to get to this treatment was painful.
I approached a few doctors who told me that I was too young for cancer, that it was something that was generally considered more in older people. I got told that it could be a stomach ulcer.
It wasn't until being admitted to hospital a year later that doctors found a 13-kilogram tumour the size of a watermelon.
They removed the tumour along with my right ovary and my right fallopian tube. Now, from that, they obviously did testing, which determined that I have an exceptionally rare cancer.
She's sharing her story, hoping other young Australians, particularly women, will speak up.
Hear us, really hear what we're saying and, push for further testing, because that could be the difference between being diagnosed in stage 1 or stage 3 and 4.
Jessica's story is becoming more common. Cancer rates are increasing in young Australians. Ovarian cancer is up 30%, breast cancer 50%, and bowel cancer 71%. Increases also in prostate, pancreatic and liver cancer.
We think that there's a big impact from environmental factors, be it what people are eating, people smoking, what people are drinking, the amount of exercise they're doing.
More research is needed. For now, Jessica knows what she has to do.
Ovarian cancer picked a fight with the wrong woman.
A fight she says she won't lose. Jennifer Beshwati, 7 News.
The first thing that came up to me in that report was, and this is what the tweet alluded to, was that they're going to look at everything that it's not before we actually can have a real conversation. And they're just talking about the things that we were told that they're not even questioning. The cancer treatment, the best treatment is chemo. I mean, right away, I'm like, really? That's all you got? What else did you try? So I mean, we're already asking these questions. But Jay, this is there's a lot of people that are frustrated that we're not having that discussion, at least covering the bases and asking, hey, how many of those jibbity jabs did you get? Or we're not allowed to even ask that question, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's the timing. And, they announced those figures on the news, but what they didn't tell you is the timing about when this spike occurred. It didn't happen in 2010. It didn't happen in 2015. it didn't even happen in 2020. It happened in 2021. And this spike that they're reporting on the news in Australia did not only happen in Australia. It happened in America. It happened in the UK. It happened all over the world, where every single one of these countries did one thing. They all introduced this one new thing to the environment, right? This all happened at the same time. And that's when the cancer rates went up. But you're not allowed to talk about that thing, Matt. So you got to pretend that it's all of these other things, which, to be honest with you, are also problematic to an extent, because there is a bunch of crap in our food supply. But one thing I'll tell you is Australian food isn't nearly as bad as the food we're eating over here. Yeah. It's a lot better than what we're eating over here, right?
But that's the giveaway is that we're talking about, they're acknowledging there was a spike, but they're not explaining what changed. You're talking about things that play a role. Absolutely, diet plays a role, and stress, and all the things they list that we have to all look at. And I think they think that's enough of a cover for the story, that we looked into it and we determined, here's how you guys can better your lives. But you're not answering the question, why the spike and why at the time it happened? Because you can't tell me that before 2021, everybody ate well and exercised and didn't have any stress. Are you freaking kidding me?
There's that one thing that changed. And here's the thing, it was already trending upwards. So I'm not telling you that cancer rates weren't increasing before that. But what I am saying is at that time in 2021, the rate went up. It was going up like this before 2021. Now it's going up like that. So we have to ask ourselves what changed. And they will talk about anything but that. Matt, I read an article the other day that said the increase in bowel cancer is due to guess what? Leftover food in your fridge. That's what's causing the increase in bowel cancer. Eating leftover food.
Wow. That's unbelievable. Well, let's remind people that, yes, Australia is on a list of many, many other places they're dealing with right now. We just wanted to show you that that's what's going on in Australia, but they don't do. Are they going to remember this from 6 years ago? I don't know. Let's refresh some of their memories about the vaccine push.
Queenslanders are getting vaccinated.
Complacency is the problem.
Well, Queensland might have won the state of origin last night, but we are losing the battle when it comes to vaccinations compared to other states. We're below the national average.
New health data shows the state is currently more than 21,000 doses behind this time last year, nearly 34,000 shots below 2024 and 54,000 short compared to 2023. The Shadow Treasurer took a jab at the Christopher government, saying it came down to a lack of messaging.
Unfortunately, we've seen a Premier and a Deputy Premier refuse to encourage people to get their flu shot.
Vaccination rates under their watch dropped from 36% in 2022 down to 29% in 2024.
She says a bungled rollout of the children's nasal spray didn't help.
If people come to bring their kids to get vaccinated and they can't access that flu mist, that's going to deter people from getting vaccinated.
Children's back.
Okay, so let's get the timeline right. It looks like that Australians were starting to wake up pretty quickly in 2022, and that you could see that the numbers dropped every single year. And so this is, I think this report was from last year, where they're like, what are we going to do about this? And now fast forward to now, they got this cancer problem. They're not connecting the dots, but I'm sure enough of these Australians who said, I'm done with these vaccines, are watching this new cancer report, and they're connecting the dots. But the people, the media, that's 100% responsible for pushing this garbage, they're going to protect that's not, those two aren't related. Absolutely not. But it's nice to see that at least Australians were willing to say no to this. It took them a little time. I had this other clip. Let me just play this other one, because this one you can certainly will certainly remind people. Wait, what happened here? You know what? I got to find this one again. It just disappeared. Man, this is
and you know what I want people to remember is that Australia had some of the most draconian policies, like for vaccination, for COVID vaccination when it actually rolled out, right? So, like, they had some of the strictest ones in the world. You couldn't leave your house pretty much, like if you didn't take the shot, unless you had a very, very, very rare exemption. So, like, they forced their people to, take this experimental injection, and now it's causing them to question everything else. And what most people don't realize is flu shots are now using the same technology, mRNA, that they rolled out with the COVID shots. Or if it hasn't started yet, it's about to start very soon. So, that doesn't mean necessarily that the flu shots are going to be quite as bad, because I think the spike protein that they were using the mRNA shots to create with the COVID injections is uniquely dangerous, but it still has the same net effect of causing your body to endlessly produce like this DNA molecule.
Yeah.
Sorry, the RNA molecule that's going to go throughout your body. So I don't know if it's going to be as bad, but we should all question. Like, I will personally never touch anything with the mRNA label on it. And I encourage everyone out there to do the same and to tell their family members it's not just COVID shots, it's all mRNA shots. Don't touch that shit. So,
Here's the blast from the past. I wanted to remind you guys, this is how they rough people up in Australia. It was bad, guys. It was really bad. If you were in Australia in the lockdown 2020, this is how you were treated if you didn't have a mask on. Somehow I feel that if she got choked out, she wouldn't be getting a big mural on the wall next to George Floyd. That's just my guess. My hunch is, nah.
Yeah. Well, you see, here's the thing, right? It's okay for them to do that because COVID was so dangerous. And, by her not wearing a mask, she's putting people at such great risk, even though grabbing someone by the neck, causing them to shout at you. Oh, the police officer isn't scared, right? You would think if she was so dangerous because she didn't have the mask on, that the police officer would have been scared to come close to her.
Right.
But he doesn't seem that scared to me. No. He has no problem manhandling her, choking her, slamming her on the ground. And, lastly, I just want people to remember, we got pretty crazy in America too. And I'll never forget this stat. At one point, about 30% of Democrats advocated for taking children away from unvaccinated parents.
Yes, they did.
So it wasn't,
including Noam Chomsky, who was all about, let's put them in camps. Let's put the unvaccinated in their own camp and let's deprive them of food because that's what they serve them right. That's what they get. Serve them up a big plate of nothing for dinner.
And I get people telling me, Matt, why am I still talking about the COVID shot? I need to let it go. I'm just scaring people. And this is why, because people haven't learned the lesson. We're still at risk of the same thing happening again. And I want justice. But I still get told that. People still tell me, I just need to drop it and let it go. I'm scaring people.
Yeah. No, we're not going to let this go. This is everything. This is our blueprint for how we go about conducting ourselves into the next psyop or the next fear porn that they inflict on us. And I think that if people are refusing to look backwards to see what mistakes they made even and how if they refuse to do that, then that's a psychological problem. That's what you would say in therapy. You say you're running from unresolved trauma that either was inflicted on you or you inflicted on someone else. And this is what this is the human psychology. You run from that. You don't want to deal with it. Were you abused, or worse, were you the abuser? These are very hard questions. And if you want to better yourself, we have to have these conversations. This is not a joke. This isn't, oops, we bet on the wrong team, lost a few bucks on the championship game because we bet on the wrong team. Like Scott Adams told us, you guys guessed right. I guessed wrong. Now he's dead. By the way, he's dead now, as he admitted. COVID, jab, injury, rapid cancer, dead. on a well dead, and he got upper class treatment in Kaiser and went up to North California and dropped dead pretty quickly after it. But he said, "You win, I lose," and we were saying, Scott Adams, we didn't win anything. You didn't lose. You realized something, that you were tricked, and that needs to continue to be discussed. And now he's dead, as long as and so many others are dead. But we have to continue on their behalf to say this isn't about winning. This is about understanding and getting better from this, so we don't pit each other again. So we don't get pitted against each other anymore, because that was the biggest problem.
And helping the people who could be suffering right now, because if we won't admit that, like society wide, that there was some damage that could have been caused by these things, then we can't figure out how to help the people, know, who may be suffering. And there's there is still a lot of undiagnosed damage that people haven't realized yet. And we're not getting ahead of it because we won't even admit there's a problem. So simply to sum it all up, those who refuse to learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah. And so just a couple updates here as well. We have Germany is now, this is good news. Germany has dropped all recommendations for COVID jabs for all healthy people under 75 years, including pregnant women. Well, great. Good for Germany. Only 5 years too late, but they did it. Germany has just announced highly significant changes to their COVID vaccination recommendations. And that's includes specifically pregnant women are no longer recommended to receive COVID vax during pregnant, even if fully vaccinated, or even if fully unvaccinated. Great. I'm glad that language was included. That's awesome. Not only pregnant women, anyone under the age of 75 who is healthy. So they're still playing the card that if you're old and not healthy, you need this thing, which is weird, but okay. But this is this includes most people. The reasons I can think of others, but greatly reduces severity of infection. What? Okay. Widespread community immune resistance to previous infection and or injection. Okay. So it's a slow process we're looking at. Meanwhile, in New Zealand, they haven't figured it out yet. Pregnant women are still strongly coerced into taking it out. In 2026, they're still pushing on pregnant women to get mRNA injectables during pregnancy. Wow. Yeah. So Germany's doing the right thing, but you know.
And I posted this, right, like on my own social media, and I pointed out the fact that by definition, if they are not recommending it for healthy people, that means that the cons outweigh any potential pros for that group of people, right? So that was how I phrased it when I posted it on my social media. I got all these people in my comments telling me, oh, you're misinterpreting what they said. And the reason why they rolled back the recommendations is because enough people are already vaccinated. But like, they refuse to just look at the logic behind what I said. Like, you cannot deny the logic that the cons outweigh any potential pros. Otherwise, they would recommend it for everybody. And then I pointed out, they still recommend the flu shot for everybody in Germany, but they don't recommend the COVID shot for everybody. And then they stop replying to me after I point that out. So people will not, like, they will fight till their last breath to defend this shit, because they have invested so much energy into telling everyone the anti-vaxxers are crazy, the anti-vaxxers are dangerous, they're all Trump supporters, Trump's destroying the country. So if you say anything that makes people question the shot, then you're just an evil, racist Trump supporter.
Man, and look, the WHO's doubling down now on the cancer warnings. Their warning of global cancer causes could nearly double by 2050, and they're telling you in the headline, lifestyle changes, pollution, and delayed diagnosis are fueling the rise. Case closed. Case closed. There. Thank you, WHO, for looking into it.
It's leftover food in your fridge, Matt. It's the leftover food in your fridge. That's what's causing it. So.
Yeah, I'm missing the days of 2020 and before, when we had very great lifestyles, we had no pollution, and we got diagnosis immediately because everyone had health care and we didn't need a Medicare for all. Oh wait, No, we did need a Medicare for all movement because nobody had fucking coverage. But yet, for some reason, the spike happened now after that point in 2021. I mean, I guess they got people working on this, like we say. Their doctors are looking into it. They'll come back with their answer. Before we wrap this segment up, Jay, you know what we got to do. We got to do some unrelated announcements. Nothing to do with what we're talking about here, guys, but I just thought you should know. Sam Neill, remember Jurassic Park? Sam Neill was cancer-free just months before his death. His rare condition explained. Oh, if you have to explain it to me, then I think you're, I'm not, okay. What's the condition of him being cancer-free and then not, and then being dead? What happened? Well, the guy, from Jurassic Park died at 78. In April, he announced that he was cancer-free after undergoing clinical trial in Australia, where he underwent CAR T-cell therapy. He had diagnosed stage 3 cancer, a rare type of blood cancer, and that was in 2022. Of all the years, the family is not disclosing his cause of death, but it was sudden. Well, so that we know. So what is this thing he did? What is this therapy he did? Well, first we should know this. Sam was a strong public advocate for vaccinations, famously speaking out in 2021 to express his belief that getting the vaccine was the correct path to normalcy and salvation, regardless of anti-vaccine sentiments. In other words, go against everything in your core, in your gut, that's telling you not to do this, and do it anyways, because I was in Jurassic Park and you should listen to me. And now we're connecting the dots, because guess what? It seems that the blood turbo cancer, which came back and bit him in the ass, literally, it seems like it was caused by the vaccines he promoted, because what he did is he doubled down by testing an mRNA cancer vaccine. Jay, as you said earlier, never put any mRNA even in your body, even if it's for a cancer vaccine, which he was, I guess, volunteering for, to treat the turbo cancer. And there you go. That's what happened to Sam Neill, unfortunately. And now
he said it, right? The vaccine leads to salvation. It leads to salvation, right? Like, Jimmy Dore points out a lot how, this vaccine science has become a religion to a lot of people. And it truly is. It truly is. If you question anything about it, you're committing blasphemy. And I think that language that he used kind of highlights how much of a religion it actually is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's run through these ones real quick. Slain Kelly dead. She was in the Tudors, dies at 43 after a cancer battle. Oh, that sucks. But at least she passed away peacefully, which I guess when you're fighting cancer, it's a peaceful death, apparently, when you're fighting cancer. So sorry. Yeah. Condolences to her family. We have a former Saints linebacker, Keith Mitchell, dying unexpectedly at 51. They're not gonna they don't know what happened, but they know it was unexpectedly and suddenly. So
it wasn't the vaccine. It wasn't that.
Yeah, we know what it's not, of course. It's hitting the young ones. 21-year-old cricketer dies of cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest from a 21-year-old playing cricket. Never played cricket. I guess she will never play cricket again either, which is really
a lot of people don't remember that almost all athletes had to take it to continue their jobs, right? So whenever you hear about an athlete dying, unless you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, 99% of them or Kyrie Irving, 99% of them were forced to take this thing, right? Yeah. So if they have a sudden or unexpected death, I think you can assume that they took the vaccine unless you hear directly otherwise. Yeah. So anytime you hear about an athlete death, you know that they took it.
Yeah. Oh man. Now this one's really sad. This was so she was on this is Christina Sands. She was on a reality show, Born This Way. Sudden cardiac arrest, 36 years old. That's and this is a show that was about adults with the Down syndrome. Poor thing. She probably didn't have full I guess informed consent, not like the rest of us didn't really have informed consent. I don't know. I'm just
and like you point out, in Hollywood, it's the same thing. If you want to act, if you want to be on any TV show, like you had to take it, like, you know, or you had to get find another way around it. But like you had to take it to do it. So when you hear about these young people who seem healthy otherwise suddenly getting this thing and dying, just ask yourself, why is this happening so much more now? Like cardiac arrests were not happening this often, this early to this many people before. Sure, you can always find the outliers, but it didn't happen as quickly as that. So.
I had to end with this because we've been talking all day about Lindsey Graham and his brief and sudden illness. It's pretty funny because this guy, just if you guys didn't know, in 2021, Lindsey Graham said that he's very glad he was vaccinated because without vaccination, he was certain that he would not feel as well as he does right now. Do you think he still feels that way? His symptoms would be far worse. Damn, that sucks. And he was booed by his supporters after urging vaccines back. That's great. And he's saying, "I'm glad I got it." And there's that shot that's been going around, shot of the shot. So just wanted to end on a fun note by the world is a better place without him. And I apologies that he was in the same line with the other people that haven't been responsible for murdering all these people around the world. But people like Sam Neill should be held accountable because if you're publicly telling people you have to get this, even if it goes against every fiber in your bone, I don't have anything nice to say about Sam Neill. I'm sorry that this happened to him. His turbo cancer came back and he went and he signed up for yet another experiment. Didn't work out for him, did it? So maybe we should learn from this and not, if we have big platforms and we have people following us and listen to us, maybe we should look into shit before we tell people to do something that goes against your own better judgment. Just make sure you really looked into it before you tell people. That would be my takeaway on this. If I was, a Sam Neill type of person, anybody, wants to do some inward looking right about now.
Before you take the big pharma check, just do a little bit of basic research, like on it. So like, again, like if I figured it out, and I'm not rich, I'm not super smart, I just happen to pay attention a little bit. And if I figured out that this show is probably going to be dangerous and you're that wealthy and you have this much time because you're a famous Hollywood actor, you can probably spend a little bit of time to do some research on it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
all right, that should do it. Jay, thanks so much for being with us today, covering everything, and we got through a lot of stuff. We're going to be off on Thursday, so because we got to do we have to get. I'm heading down to Guadalajara meeting Leslie, and we're gonna be scattering the ashes of her. Unfortunately, her father, that my father-in-law, who is yet another victim of this pharma machine that for whatever reason, all these things happened right around that same time, 2021. So, so we got to go do that and pay respects. Jay, let everyone know where they can find you, and we'll see you. But we're gonna have a jam-packed show next Tuesday, so we're looking forward to being back here in a week with you and some stuff that we weren't able to get to today, and anything else that happens, of course.
Yep, so, for sure. And all the best to you and the family again. Hope it's a great send-off for him down in Mexico. I know you guys are gonna do him right. So, you guys can find me on Twitter at the Jay Scott. But more importantly, if you're tired of what's happening in the country and you're looking for a way to push back, the answer is not going to be in the Democrat or Republican Party. I just encourage you to look into a decentralized third party that's looking to establish power as locally as possible. So if you're interested in getting the IDF trained influence out of your police force, then you should be paying attention to your local sheriff election. That's one of the things we want to encourage people to look into in the We the People Party. So you should go to www.wtpnational.com. That's wethepeoplenational.com, and find out how you can get involved, because we can't sit by and do nothing, guys. So great work. Appreciate you as always, Matt. I'll catch you later.
Okay. Thanks, Jay. All right, guys. We're going to be making a crossover to Garland Nixon here in just a moment. So let me go ahead, and I'm not going to be able to do unfortunately not going to be able to do a talking back today with you guys. So I'm just going to be able to have to bump out these. Let me get to the super chats real quick for you guys, which I really do appreciate. The ones we weren't able to get to yet. Let's see a couple more from Chris. Thank you, Chris. Graham was a victim of covert Russian call boys. I love it, man. This ain't going away. They're gonna pretend that they cover their bases. They did not cover their bases. It hasn't gone away. We're gonna keep talking about Lindsey Graham for sure. Thanks for that. And another one from Chris Graham. Have Cory a pearl necklace. Oh, Cory Booker. This guy was ass kissing this dude and his good friend John McCain, who are now meeting up. They've reunited in hell, apparently. So there's that. Thank you for this, Tiger Blade. Thank you so much. Nice. Thanks for the super chat. And we got one from Leora. Thank you so much. Like the theater masks, very cool. And of course, Citizen Pendejo #1. Instead of Messi hating, I decided to boycott World Cup. Great. #2, Bring Jay. All times you cover Fox Entertainment Television. He's great at calling out BS. You know what? I'm gonna tell Jay about that. He should come on more when we do the Hollywood segment. We might do that. I don't know if he's fully interested in it. We have more of a skin in the game here, but yeah, he's good at calling out the bullshit for sure. Thank you, Citizen. Elizabeth, Lindsey's aorta, largest artery, ruptured, probably caused by snorting coke with Zelensky. That's a good theory. I'm not against it. Happened to my aunt. Family said her aorta blew up, exploded. That's what Trump was meaning by exploded. But the irony is hilarious when you're talking about exploded. So I get the reference. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Citizen, the Twilight Zone was a chosen's club. Same goes for business in politics. Thousands of Americans' careers were derailed for chosen sake. #2, cop cities equal agenda 2030. I think you're right. I think the countdown is happening with the flock, with the AI, with the cops, with the Israel. It's counting down. We got like 3.5 years left. One more from Citizen. Ian Malcolm, Senate denied first U.S. merger. 50 to 46. Senate denied. Really? Wait, hold on. That's a report that just came out. 50-46. We need to look at that. That could be some good news. If they denied the merger 50 to 46 in the Senate, that's a big deal. We got to look at that. One more here. Checkpoint 01. You guys, love you guys. My icon is an image of Sam Neill. I love it, from the insanely intense movie Possession, 1981. Interesting. Well, I hope you saw our coverage we just did on Sam Neill, and unfortunately the things he got involved with at the end of the final years there. Okay, guys, that's it. I know we had a couple quick Rumble rants on Rumble. We appreciate those as well. I think I grabbed one of them. Let me just get that on here. There it is. Donald Duck's mom. Only Trump can say two opposite statements and make them both true. Absolutely agree. Thank you for that, guys. Thanks to our guests today. We're going to, again, stay where you are. We're going to head over to just Rumble right now. If you're on YouTube, stay put. We're going to put this little transition video on, and then we're going to show you how you guys can log on to Rumble and get on with us, with me and Garland here in just a moment. Because we're going to move on with Garland on his channel and on ours. It's a multi-stream. So let me set up the thing here. Thanks to CHILLE DeCASTRO with Delete LAWZ. Thanks to Jay Scott. And we'll see you guys back here in a week on next Tuesday. And we'll got a lot more show for you then. And we'll see you then, guys. I'll do a sign off with Garland. I'm not going to sign off right now. We're just going to transition here. So hold on. Let me cue this up. Okay, guys, we'll see you in a bit.
Chant death to the United States.
Again with the chanting.
That have no compunction about using these weapons.
Right. All right. So that's what they're going to do when they chant. They're going to chant the chemical weapons into the country, by the way, with the chanting. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. He's like, you hear what they chant? By the way, you know what they chant at, like, soccer games? They chant all kinds of, like, is this the standard of proof now? Is that the line that can't be crossed, is chanting death to America? What do you mean we can't handle death to America? We can't handle people chanting death to America? I take more shit on that in comments. Like, this is crazy. And so does anyone who's on the internet. This is what we're doing today. They chanted death to America. I mean, imagine your kid dies in Iran and you're telling someone about it. You go, yeah, it was a tough loss, but they were chanting death to America. We had to show them you can't do that. You can't do that. So I know my kid's dead, but no more chanting. What do you think they're going to chant now? By the way, if you wanted to eliminate their chanting, if that was the goal, what do you think killing their spiritual leader did?